601. The son of the era is actually him. Battle against Yuxuan. Fate is a minor achievement, the Dark Immortal Emperor. The epic child and the child of extinction are mortal enemies because their methods of cultivation are completely opposite. One seeks to save the world and delay the epic calamity. The other seeks to destroy the world and accelerate the epic calamity. Most importantly, immortal emperors have always been born from either an epic child or a child of extinction. In the past 8 epochs, there has never been an exception. The two not only have vastly different cultivation methods but are also mortal enemies in the Tao competition. However, as far as you know, the cultivation of those emperor sect stars is far inferior to yours, so even if they become an epic child, they should not pose a threat to you for now. Now that Yuzhan Daozhen is not in the Chaos Realm, it is unknown which force among the Demon Emperor sect, Ancestral Demon Mountain, and Soul Hall is cultivating the epic child. The epic child inherently shields karma, so you cannot deduce his identity. At the same time, the 3 major forces, Demon Emperor sect, Ancestral Demon Mountain, and Soul Hall, were also bewildered. They realized after checking that this epic child was not from their hands. So who became the epic child? Currently, there are only 4 remaining Emperor sect stars. Each of the 3 major forces has 1 Emperor sect star. Besides that, there is only the Emperor sect star in Yuzhan Daozhen's possession. Now, it seems it can only be him. However, they were mistaken again. After the epic child appeared, he did not hide his identity but actively revealed his chi, illuminating the Chaos Realm. That person was not the Emperor sect star in Yuzhan Daozhen's hands, but Yuzhan Daozhen himself. How could this be? Yuzhan Daozhen was clearly not an Emperor sect star. If he were to walk a path, he could only walk the path of a demon star. Could it be that an immortal emperor intervened to transfer a star fate to him? But haven't immortal emperors made an agreement that they would not interfere in the immortal emperor competition of the Chaos Realm? As top forces in the Tao Ruins realm, they clearly knew more than others. You were also very surprised to see that Yuzhan Daozhen was the epic child. You originally thought he had left the Chaos Realm, but you didn't expect he was just hiding, preparing a big surprise for you. Perhaps all of this was within his calculations, he had been waiting for this day. The epic aura on Yuzhan Daozhen only had 7 layers, 2 layers less than your world-destroying power aura. This means that his efficiency in gaining feedback from saving the world was not as good as yours. However, his cultivation was high, enough to make up for this gap. You originally wanted to sacrifice the epic child. But you didn't expect the epic child to actually be Yuzhan Daozhen. This made you feel extremely troublesome. Yuzhan Daozhen was a behemoth, you found it a bit difficult to sacrifice him. Yuzhan Daozhen walked towards you step by step. In just 3 to 5 steps, he traversed an infinite distance and arrived before you. He said indifferently, "All right, you've been the child of extinction once, you can now rest in peace." After speaking, he drew the chaos spiritual treasure that had accompanied him for 2 epochs, the profound Tao sword. The layers of space in the Chaos Realm were all pierced, shattered, and twisted into complete nothingness by the sword chi. Even a peak quasi-immortal emperor would not fare well receiving this strike. You are not even a quasi-immortal emperor now, so naturally, you cannot withstand it. A supreme power that transcended all, controlled all, and was omnipresent appeared beside you. It was destiny power. Everything has its own destiny, even this sword light is no exception. You used destiny Tao principles, which were infinitely close to minor achievement, to slightly adjust the destiny of the sword light. You stood within the sword light, but all the sword light precisely avoided you, leaving you unharmed. Is this the destiny Tao principles, ranked first among the 3000 Tao principles? It is indeed powerful, Yuzhan Daozhen couldn't help but exclaim. But then, he said, this was just a casual strike from me, and how much destiny power do you have to squander? Yuzhan Daozhen was right, your destiny power was indeed limited. But you also didn't plan to just keep taking his attacks here. You summoned 3 Tao bodies to form a suicide squad and charged towards Yuzhan. Meanwhile, your main body took advantage of the gap to enter the river of time, disappearing without a trace. You have the little art of fate and destiny Tao principles, how can he catch you? Yuzhan Daozhen's expression darkened a bit as he watched you escape. However, he was not flustered. He was only 1 step away from becoming an immortal emperor, while you haven't even achieved a breakthrough to quasi-immortal emperor yet. Moreover, being suppressed by him, it was difficult for you to destroy the world, and your cultivation growth was slow. The advantage was clearly his. As long as he achieved a breakthrough to Immortal Emperor, no matter how well you hid, you would ultimately not escape death. Immortal Emperors are said to be at the end of the Tao, not to be constrained by destiny Tao principles. Although your strength was far inferior to Yuzan Daozin's, you couldn't truly keep hiding forever. The inability to improve your cultivation was quite fatal to you. You quickly began to engage in guerrilla warfare with Yuzan Daozin. All sorts of tactics, feigning an attack to the east while striking to the west, luring the tiger out of its mountain lair, deceiving the heavens to cross the ocean, were employed by you. What you sought was to destroy a little more of the world. It was just that this process was a bit hard on your Tao body. Because once caught by Yuzan, the Tao body would surely die. Fortunately, your Tao body was different from others' clones, it could be summoned continuously. Only then could it withstand this consumption. When you achieve a breakthrough to Immortal Emperor, you must properly reward your Tao body. Your destiny Tao principles are almost at minor achievement. You wonder if there will be any new changes after minor achievement. Otherwise, if the current situation continues, Yuzan will definitely achieve a breakthrough to Immortal Emperor first. You have already become the child of extinction, and there's no turning back on the path to Immortal Emperor. If he achieves a breakthrough, you will surely die. Thus, you engaged in guerrilla warfare for 7 or 8 days. Your Destiny Tao principles finally reached minor achievement. Your control over Destiny Tao principles ascended to a new level. Your ability to modify destiny greatly increased. The destiny power you generated also far exceeded what it was before. Besides these changes, you could also vaguely sense a long river. That was the sealed river of destiny. If you could cultivate within it, even without world-destroying power, your destiny Tao principles could still reach perfection. However, entering it was very difficult. You could see large areas of darkness shrouding the river of destiny. The darkness gave you an extremely dangerous feeling, you estimated you couldn't cross it. However, just as you were peeking at the river of destiny, in the darkness, a terrifying existence seemed to have discovered you. It let out a roar. You quickly withdrew your gaze. But it, like a mortal enemy, relentlessly chased you out of the river of destiny. It was a dark beast you had never seen before, it stretched out its decaying claws and swiped at you. You instantly felt the omen of death. Yuzan Daozin hadn't given you this feeling, could this dark beast be an Immortal Emperor? 602. Taiyu Immortal Emperor, the true ancestor of the Immortal Way. Confrontation in the ancestral land, above the Immortal Emperor. You were greatly startled and quickly altered Yuzan Daozin's destiny, pulling him in front of you. Yuzan Daozin didn't know why you had revealed yourself and was about to attack you when the rotten claw struck him. Yuzan screamed, and a sketch appeared on his body, with a flowing, immortal, character written on it, exuding an aura that suppressed all epics. It only just managed to block that attack. But Yuzan was severely wounded as a result, almost losing his combat ability. Damn, it really is an Immortal Emperor. When you saw this, you were scared out of your wits. If not for that strange, immortal, character blocking it for Yuzan, that single blow would have been enough to take his life. With such strength, that dark beast could only be an Immortal Emperor. You didn't expect the dark forces to send an Immortal Emperor to guard the river of destiny. Just as you thought you were doomed, a familiar figure, whose aura was like the sun, descended upon the Chaos Realm. It was none other than Xuanpin Immortal Emperor, who had been recruiting soldiers in the Dao Ruins realm earlier. He blocked this terrifying dark beast for you. At this moment, you felt his kindness was like the sun, no longer blinding. Xuanpin said, Yayu, you have crossed the line. The Dark Immortal Emperor named Yayu roared, all who cultivate destiny Dao principles must die. You can't stop me either. Is that so? What if I join in? A tall, robust figure with an honest and simple appearance descended upon the Chaos Realm. It was none other than the human race's Mount Tai Immortal Emperor. Mount Tai Immortal Emperor achieved the Tao in the third epoch, and his strength was exceptionally powerful among the Immortal Emperors. Very well, you all wait. Yayu turned and left directly, presumably to call for reinforcements. It seems the dark forces will not rest until they eliminate you. Lu Chengsheng here, many thanks to the 2 Immortal Emperors for saving me. You bowed to the 2 Immortal Emperors in turn. You are a prodigy of my Chaos Realm, how could you die at the hands of a Dark Immortal Emperor? Saving you is only right. Mount Tai Immortal Emperor waved his hand, and coupled with his honest appearance, he couldn't help but make people feel a sense of closeness. However, according to historical records, although he looked honest and simple, he was a master of cunning and ruthlessness. You must not be deceived by his appearance. Meanwhile, Xuanpin Immortal Emperor went to Yuzhan Daozhen. He picked up the immortal character diagram, sensed the aura on it, and said gravely, "It truly is the work of that one." You were very surprised to hear an immortal emperor refer to someone in such a way. You asked Mount Tai Immortal Emperor who Xuanpin Immortal Emperor was referring to. Mount Tai Immortal Emperor said with reverence, "That one is the true immortal ancestor. The Dark Foss's prohibition of destiny Tao principles is also related to that one. Yuzhan is merely a boy under that one's tutelage. However, since he later disappeared, Yuzhan has been using his name, proclaiming himself the immortal ancestor, and spreading the immortal Tao in this epoch. But because Yuzhan has some connection to that one, we immortal emperors also give Yuzhan some face. So that's how it is." Hearing Mount Tai Immortal Emperor say this, many things suddenly became clear to you. No wonder Yuzhan's strength suddenly increased greatly, and he learned the immortal Tao. It turned out it was all thanks to someone else. You asked what realm the true immortal ancestor was in. Mount Tai Immortal Emperor's expression became serious as he said, "He has already infinitely approached beyond Immortal Emperor. His sudden disappearance later was probably also to seek a method for breakthrough. Immortal Emperors are already said to be at the end of the Great Tao. What kind of splendor lies beyond Immortal Emperor?" Just as you were about to ask, Mount Tai Immortal Emperor saw through your thoughts. He patted your shoulder and laughed, "I'll tell you when you break through to Immortal Emperor one day. I'm telling you all this because I see you're in Earth Star Transmigration. Don't go spreading it around." You repeatedly said, "Understood, understood." However, Xuanpin Immortal Emperor shook his head, "With Yuzhan around, you're likely doomed. Mount Tai Immortal Emperor is only telling you these secrets because he sees you have little time left." Upon being exposed, Mount Tai Immortal Emperor's expression froze, and he glared at Xuanpin Immortal Emperor. You were speechless. Good heavens, so in their minds, you're already a dead man, aren't you? However, normally speaking, it would indeed be very difficult for you to be Yuzhan's opponent. Not only is he one step away from Immortal Emperor, but he also has a terrifying backer, to whom even Immortal Emperors give face. And you are alone, with nothing but enough effort. It's indeed not easy to deal with. However, you believe that effort can break all laws. As long as you work hard enough, you can definitely break through prejudices and reach the peak of Immortal Emperor. Afterward, Xuanpin Immortal Emperor and Mount Tai Immortal Emperor successively departed. Yuzhan Daozhen, having been secretly tricked by you and severely wounded, also had to go heal. You continued your rampant world destruction. This was a rare window of opportunity, and you had to work doubly hard. Once Yuzhan Daozhen recovered, he would surely come looking for trouble again. As for the threat from the dark forces, the Immortal Emperors were temporarily holding them back, so it should be fine. Your comprehension of Destiny Tao principles once again rapidly increased. You had a premonition. Once your Destiny Tao principles reached major achievement, even if the River of Destiny was sealed, you would be able to communicate with it directly. Perhaps new changes would occur then. At the same time, on the front lines of the Highland ancestral land, amidst mountains of corpses and seas of blood. From the Dark Foss's side, a figure wearing a black imperial robe and radiating devilish chi emerged. It was the demonic path Immortal Emperor who had defected to the dark in the 5th epoch. He said to the tall, resolute young man in front of him, "Huang, how much longer can you resist? Everything will eventually be swallowed by the dark, this is destined. Everything you are doing now is just a mantis trying to stop a chariot." The young man named Huang said domineeringly, "So what? Even if everyone is corrupted by the dark, I alone will still stand firm through all epochs." The demonic path Immortal Emperor sneered a few times and retreated back into the dark, leaving a message before he left. "That person named Lu Chengsheng must be obliterated, otherwise we will awaken the corpse ancestor." The expressions of many Immortal Emperors in the Chaos Realm changed upon hearing this. The corpse ancestor was in existence beyond Immortal Emperor. But it had always been in a state of slumber. Rumor had it that once it awakened, it would bring an end to everything. For the sake of a person who cultivated Destiny Tao principles, the dark forces were actually willing to awaken it early. The Immortal Emperors of the Chaos Realm fell silent. Everything they were doing now was actually to buy time, so that the Chaos Realm could give birth to an existence beyond Immortal Emperor. Only then could they truly resist the dark. The most hopeful candidate was that mysterious immortal ancestor. But that person was now nowhere to be found. Were they going to fight the dark to the death for the sake of an immortal venerable? 603. The Curse Emperor takes action, the simulation ends. The cultivation level increases dramatically, and darkness returns. Do you want to comply with the dark forces' demand and eliminate you? Among the immortal emperors of the Chaos Realm, some supported and some opposed. Among them, the cursed Tao Immortal Emperor was the most radical supporter. He seemed to have a deep hatred for you, wishing you dead immediately. But not all immortal emperors agreed, so he had no choice. Time slowly passed, 1 month, 2 months, 3 months. Your Destiny Tao principles were finally about to reach major achievement. At this time, the immortal emperors of the Chaos Realm also decided. Just as you were about to welcome the breakthrough of the Destiny Tao principles. A figure, surrounded by endless curse path runes, making him indistinguishable, descended upon the Chaos Realm. If my guess is correct, it should be that immortal emperor from the Cursed Tao era. It is rumored that Curse Abyss was the force he created. You bowed and said, "May I ask why Immortal Emperor has graced us with his presence?" Quote. Unexpectedly, he said, "Where is my Chaos Supreme Treasure, the cursed steel? Where did you hide it?" Quote. You were astonished. What Chaos Supreme Treasure, what cursed steel, you didn't know. You only had Jade Creation Disc fragments in your hand. Do you think I can't do anything to you if you don't speak? The Cursed Tao Immortal Emperor snorted coldly and directly grabbed you to search your soul, but still found nothing. He frowned and said, "It seems that it was done by the future you, but it doesn't matter, as long as I kill you and let history return to its proper course, my cursed steel will still return to my hands." Quote. After speaking, he used a curse to torment you to death. You died. Seeing that the simulation information stopped, Liu Changsheng finally understood that he was still sold out by the immortal emperors in the Chaos Realm. They wanted to use his death to delay the resurrection of the Dark Corpse ancestor. From their perspective, there was no problem. Sacrifice one Liu Changsheng for the happiness of thousands of families. But, Liu Changsheng didn't want to be that sacrifice. Liu Changsheng had always been kind to others, but he didn't expect to end up being betrayed. He couldn't help but sigh, in this treacherous world, it's too difficult for good people to have good rewards. And finally, what the Cursed Tao Immortal Emperor said to Liu Changsheng. Could it be that because the future Liu Changsheng stole his Chaos Supreme Treasure, he had always wanted to kill Liu Changsheng? However, at that time, Liu Changsheng still had a lot of information he hadn't asked. For example, did he establish Tianji Pavilion? Was Tianji Z his incarnation? Was the ominous curse on Liu Changsheng made by him? These answers can only be found in the next simulation. Next, it was time to choose the cultivation. This time, choosing cultivation was more dangerous than any previous time. After all, the dark forces would not give up until they killed Liu Changsheng. Once they discovered the aura of Destiny Tao principles on Liu Changsheng, Dark Immortal Emperors would definitely descend immediately. And the reason for encountering such a predicament? According to Mount Tai Immortal Emperor, it was related to the true immortal ancestor. He also didn't know what he did to the dark forces, making the dark forces so hateful of those who cultivate Destiny Tao principles. So much so that in the 5th epoch, they not only incited the Demon Path Immortal Emperor to join the dark forces, but also sealed the River of Destiny and killed all those who cultivated Destiny Tao principles. In other words, Liu Changsheng is now the only one cultivating Destiny Tao principles in the Chaos Realm. No, that true immortal ancestor might have also cultivated it. The immortal ancestor was also Yu Zhan Daozin's backer. It is estimated that he will also be Liu Changsheng's enemy in the future. Who are Liu Changsheng's enemies now? Cursed Tao Immortal Emperor, Immortal Ancestor, Dark Forces. Yu Zhan Daozin also counts as one, but he is no longer ranked. There are also some hidden things behind the scenes that will pose a threat to Liu Changsheng. For example, the mastermind behind Liu Changsheng's transmigration. And the mysterious existence behind the Doomsday Altar. Forget it, no matter what, Liu Changsheng has too many debts to worry about. He still has to choose the cultivation. Liu Changsheng is currently only a half-step Immortal Exalted. And he in the simulation was already at Immortal Venerable 9th Heaven, and his combat power was comparable to a tenfold quasi-immortal emperor. Even a tenfold quasi-immortal emperor could hardly kill him. How could Liu Changsheng give up such a huge amount of cultivation due to the threat of the dark forces? The next moment, Liu Changsheng directly chose one. Terrifying cultivation poured down. Various supreme Tao principles began to emerge. Lu Changsheng's realm began to skyrocket. The terrifying breakthrough aura swept across the Golden Hall Immortal Court where Lu Changsheng was currently located, and even the entire sixth heaven. Immortal Venerable First Heaven, Immortal Venerable Second Heaven, Immortal Venerable Third Heaven. The sixth heaven shook, as if the world was about to be destroyed the next moment. Countless powerhouses showed fear. Is there a supreme Immortal Venerable who is going to destroy the sixth heaven? The Immortal Venerables in the Immortal Reverence Hall of the eighth heaven also noticed this. Someone is breaking through to Immortal Venerable, and at an incredible speed, continuously breaking through. How could such a thing suddenly happen? They instantly became alert. Lu Changsheng's cultivation only reached Immortal Venerable ninth heaven before he restrained his aura, making the doomsday-like scene in the sixth heaven disappear. Here at Lu Changsheng, as the origin of everything. The powerhouses of the Immortal Reverence Hall soon rushed here. But they hadn't even entered the sixth heaven yet. The sixth heaven changed dramatically. Large patches of dark clouds covered the entire sixth heaven. Those who cultivate destiny power, die. A terrifying rotten claw stretched out from the dark clouds. Just a trace of aura emanating from it shattered the entire sixth heaven. Ba Wu Immortal Venerable, Mystic Sound Immortal Venerable, Jade Universe Celestial Venerable, Yaoqi Jade Mother, and others, all showed horrified expressions. They had never seen such a terrifying aura even on their master Yuzhan Daozhen. Is this an Immortal Emperor? Why would such an existence suddenly appear in the Chaos Realm? Didn't all Immortal Emperors go to the land of transcendence? Most of the Immortal Venerables in the Immortal Reverence Hall were born in this epoch and were not aware of many secrets. They thought that this was an Immortal Emperor who had returned from the legendary land of transcendence. As expected, they came. Lu Changsheng's gaze was solemn, but he showed no panic. Lu Changsheng knew that the Sun Immortal Emperor, no, Xuanpin Immortal Emperor would make a move. Sure enough, a giant portal appeared between heaven and earth, as dazzling as the sun. It was filled with infinite mysteries. It was precisely Xuanpin Immortal Emperor's true body, the gate of the profound female. The gate of the profound female instantly repelled the rotten claw. HMPH, let's see how long you can protect him. The Dark Immortal Emperor, who had never revealed his true body behind the scenes, snorted coldly and left directly. Lu Changsheng guessed that he was very likely the Yayu Immortal Emperor who appeared in the simulation. But not necessarily, because this time, the other party did not force Mount Tai Immortal Emperor to make a move. The gate of the profound female, after repelling the rotten claw, disappeared. Xuanpin Immortal Emperor also did not appear to converse with Lu Changsheng. He was much colder than in the simulation. Perhaps he doesn't know Lu Changsheng's origin yet and went back to discuss it with the other Immortal Emperors. 604. 30,000 spiritual treasures, simulate again. Massive sacrifice, this guy is 18 years old. Lu Changsheng's safety was temporarily secured. Afterward, Lu Changsheng opened the simulator to check the cost of a simulation. Lu Changsheng now needed to race against time and quickly perform the next simulation. Detected that the host's strength has risen to a new level, simulation currency has changed from immortal crystals to innate spirit treasures. One innate spirit treasure can be exchanged for one currency. One simulation requires 30,000 currency. Balance is insufficient, please recharge immediately. 30,000 currency meant 30,000 innate spirit treasures. Even the entire sixth heaven probably couldn't produce that many. Not to mention, the sixth heaven had already been annihilated by the Immortal Emperor's might just now. But without the sixth heaven, there were other heavens. And the vast great worlds of the foreign lands. These items didn't necessarily require going to the foreign lands, going to the seventh heaven would suffice. Any random continent in the Taihuang heaven of the seventh heaven was no smaller than the area of the sixth heaven. Just as Lu Changsheng was about to set off, dozens of immortal venerables suddenly appeared before him. It was the group of powerhouses from the Immortal Reverence Hall. Being able to consecutively draw out two immortal emperors to act, Lu Changsheng's origin must be extraordinary. They intended to get acquainted with Lu Changsheng. Lu Changsheng's eyes lit up. Wasn't this like someone offering a pillow when he was sleepy? Lu Changsheng waved his hand and captured all of them. The immortal venerables were all greatly alarmed. They had intended to befriend Lu Changsheng, but who knew Lu Changsheng was a bandit who would act without a word. They quickly brought up Yuzhan Daozhen, who was behind them. With Lu Changsheng's current strength and methods, even if Yuzhan Daozhen returned, he would not fear him. Who would still be polite to this group of his disciples? Lu Changsheng turned a deaf ear and began to ransack their belongings. 30,008 spirit treasures were easily gathered. Then, naturally, he recharged. Recharge successful. Would you like to proceed with the simulation immediately? Yes. Simulation begins. At 18 years old, you break through to Immortal Venerable 9th level, and your Destiny Tao principles reach minor achievement. The destiny power on your body attracted the Dark Immortal Emperors to act, but they were blocked by Xuanpin Immortal Emperor. In the previous simulation, it was also Xuanpin Immortal Emperor who saved you. You feel his kindness is like the sun, and you may never be able to repay it in your lifetime. Afterward, you were not in a hurry to go to Yuzan Mountain. Now, what do you need most? It is the Emperor Stars and the Doomsday Altar. Only these two things can quickly bring your Destiny Tao principles to perfection, allowing you to break through to Immortal Venerable 10th level and even Quasi-Immortal Emperor. You dispatched 3 Tao bodies to various parts of the Chaos Realm to collect them. Your main body, meanwhile, went to the Netherworld, suppressing various Nether gods and collecting reincarnation authority. In less than half an incense stick's time, all reincarnation authorities, except for the one in Nether God Wu Chang's possession in the Tao Ruins realm, were gathered by you and concentrated within you. You did not slaughter all these Nether gods but instead had them cultivate the He Shang Ren Fa to continue maintaining the reincarnation order. After all, you are now considered the Lord of Reincarnation. As long as the reincarnation order operates normally, you receive a large amount of karma every moment. Previously, this karma was divided among the various Nether gods, now, it naturally falls into your hands. Of course, you do not do this for the karma, but because you are benevolent. You are thinking for the sake of all living beings in the myriad realms. Half a day later, your 3 Tao bodies captured, invited 23 awakened and unawakened Emperor Stars. 25 Doomsday Altars were also found. 74 Jade Creation Disc fragments were also all found. You also conveniently eliminated an old acquaintance, Immortal Venerable Daimon. Immortal Venerable Daimon was left by Yu Zandausen in the Chaos Realm to deal with threats for him. In the last simulation, he caused you quite a bit of trouble. Now, he can be destroyed with a mere raise of your hand. Besides Immortal Venerable Daimon, you have another old acquaintance. That is the Great Zizai Heavenly Devil. This person is a spy placed by Ancestral Demon Mountain in the Chaos Realm, still searching for Emperor Stars for Ancestral Demon Mountain. He possesses the little art of fate and a small piece of Janmu. Even Yu Zandausen would find it difficult to discover his whereabouts. However, your Destiny Tao principles are infinitely close to major achievement. His little art of fate is just a small trick to you. You easily pulled him out. The Great Zizai Heavenly Devil, seeing how terrifying you were, quickly begged for mercy. But you were too lazy to waste words, striking him down with a single palm and directly performing soul searching. From his memories, you learned that he had just found 2 earlier awakening Emperor Stars and was preparing to send them to Ancestral Demon Mountain. They are currently hidden in his lair. Meeting you, he no longer needed to send them. You directly captured those 2 Emperor Stars. With this, the Emperor Stars in your possession reached 25. Sacrificing all of them would be enough to make you the child of extinction again. Of course, most of them are unawakened. You still need to help them awaken their Emperor Stars first. For you, who are close to Destiny Tao Principle's major achievement, this is incredibly easy. You don't even need the awakening process, you directly modify their destiny, causing them to awaken on the spot immediately. Even a tenfold quasi-immortal emperor cannot achieve this. They would also have to follow the awakening ritual. Destiny Tao principles are just that heaven-defying. The Doomsday Altars were also all fused by you. Anyway, you won't be the child of extinction for long before the epic child appears, so there's no need to intentionally keep them. You comprehended the time laws, and with your current strength, you can accelerate time by up to 200,000 times. In just a dozen breaths, these Doomsday Altars were all fused. A magnificent altar appeared on the scene. You did not immediately sacrifice. Instead, you began to modify the cultivation of these Emperor Stars. Most of these Emperor Stars were below Immortal Emperor. Now, you directly used destiny power to modify them all to high-level Immortal Emperor. Then, you threw one Emperor Star after another into it. Of course, you didn't forget to extract Shao Shu Immortal King's true spirit. After all, he is your other self. This true spirit cannot be wasted. The existence in the netherworld arrived as expected. When he saw you, the sacrificer, he was greatly surprised. You're only 18, and you're already invincible in the Chaos Realm. And you've found most of the Emperor stars in Doomsday altars. Is there such an outrageous 18-year-old? Are you even human? Your talent probably can't even be described as prodigy anymore. He also couldn't think of anything to describe it and could only ask in confusion, are you really 18? You said, that's right, genuine. Then, he asked you what you wanted to exchange with the power of sacrifice. You said to first bring your destiny Tao principles to perfection, and then improve your cultivation and break through your realm, but you didn't know if these Emperor stars would be enough. 605. Hongmeng advances, chaos treasure. A way to avoid disaster, a long-lost corner of destiny. The existence in the ethereal said, it's completely sufficient, but I don't recommend you do this. Once you do this, an existence above immortal emperors will quickly attack you, and you will die beyond death. He also has a soft spot for talent, which is why he told you so much. You guessed that the existence above immortal emperors he mentioned was very likely the corpse ancestor of the dark forces. Such an existence is indeed unsolvable for you. Because you are not even a quasi-immortal emperor now, the strength gap is too large. Even if you inherited the cultivation from the simulation in reality, you would probably still die. But a person can't be suffocated by thirst. If the Destiny Tao principles do not reach major achievement, how will you break through to Immortal Venerable 10th level? You asked the ethereal existence if there was a way to avoid it. The ethereal existence said, actually, it's not difficult to solve, you can go to the prehistoric era. Especially before the 5th epoch, there are still many people cultivating Destiny Tao principles, so the Destiny Tao principles on you won't be too conspicuous. Moreover, at that time, the river of destiny had not been sealed. With your aptitude and comprehension ability, cultivating in the river of destiny for a period of time will naturally bring your Destiny Tao principles to perfection. It must be said, this was indeed a very tempting suggestion. You asked, if that's the case, then what would be best to enhance with these Emperor stars? The ethereal existence said, anything is fine, just don't enhance the Destiny Tao principles for now. Since that was the case, you set your sights on the Hongmeng Tao Palace. It has been with you for so long, and even if it hasn't contributed much, it has certainly endured hardships. If you upgraded it to the Chaos Supreme Treasure level, not only would your various talents be strengthened, but your life-saving abilities would also greatly increase. For example, Void Destiny and World's Unification are both top-tier life-saving talents. Thus, you began to use the power of sacrifice to strengthen the Hongmeng Tao Palace. The essence of the Hongmeng Tao Palace began to continuously improve. When the 21st Emperor star was sacrificed, it finally began to transform. This transformation process would take an extremely long time, at least tens of millions of years, and even time acceleration would be useless for it. You obviously couldn't wait that long, so you threw in the 22nd Emperor star to accelerate its transformation. As expected, this time it only took an hour to complete its transformation. Boom! The light of the Chaos Supreme Treasure's birth shook the Chaos realm. Countless ancient holy spirits appeared, singing hymns for it. Thousands of strange phenomena manifested, offering grand ceremonies for it. Many important figures in the Tao Ruins realm were alarmed and cast their gazes here. It's actually a Chaos Supreme Treasure. Many people immediately became envious. This was a supreme magic treasure that only immortal emperors could wield. Judging by its appearance, it had just been born, and its owner was only an immortal venerable. Many high-level quasi-immortal emperors immediately rushed out of the Tao Ruins realm and charged towards you. The weak are not worthy of possessing such a supreme treasure. Among them were the sky-intercepting heavenly god, the Curse Alliance master, and the mountain lord of Zumo Mountain, whom you encountered in your previous simulation. It's him, he's our great enemy of the Curse Abyss. Also, high-level quasi-immortal emperors from the Curse Abyss immediately recognized your aura. This made them even more excited. Killing people and seizing treasures, killing two birds with one stone. Seeing so many strong individuals charging at you, you were startled yourself. You wanted to control the Hongmeng Tao Palace, but found that after its advancement, it was too difficult to control with your current cultivation. At this moment, the golden figure in the Hongmeng Tao Palace said, "Don't panic, watch me." It was the artifact spirit of the Hongmeng Tao Palace, making it easier to control. The Hongmeng Tao Palace merely swayed slightly, and immeasurable divine might erupted. It sent dozens of high-level quasi-immortal emperors flying. Seeing that forceful seizure wouldn't work, many people resorted to coaxing and deceiving, saying that you were too weak and that it had no future following you. My master reached Immortal Venerable 9th level at 18, and he has no future following him. The golden figure scoffed, and the Hongmengdao Palace exerted its power again, making these people spit blood. It had experienced several times its own grade inexplicably advancing. Following you was simply more promising than following an immortal emperor. Those strong individuals from the Dao Ruins realm, seeing no hope, finally retreated. You felt a bit emotional. It's good to raise something from a young age. There was no rebellious subordinate scenario. You still had 2 emperor stars left in your hand, and the ethereal existence told you not to use them yet. Save them for when you travel through the prehistoric era. Traveling through the prehistoric era is not easy, at least a high-level quasi-immortal emperor is required to do it. Even if you travel, you still need to hide from the immortal emperor's perception. Otherwise, you could easily be annihilated or expelled. After all, those immortal emperors regard their own epoch as a backyard, and no one wants their backyard to be destroyed. To hide from the immortal emperor's perception, you also need to strengthen the little art of fate. Of course, your void destiny talent would most likely also allow you to hide from the immortal emperor's perception. But it's better to have an extra layer of insurance. As the Hongmengdao Palace advanced to a Chaos Supreme Treasure, your comprehension ability, enhanced by infinite enlightenment, once again reached its peak of 10,000 times. Combined with your Destiny Dao principles and time acceleration, you only took 5 days to significantly strengthen the little art of fate. As you were about to go to other places, your Dao body had been collecting a large amount of resources in the Chaos realm and searching for your other selves during these 5 days. Now, all your other selves have been found, and most of the resources in the Chaos realm have been collected. Just as you were preparing to stay for a longer period, a scene suddenly flashed before your eyes. A person covered in curse path runes suddenly descended and killed you. The time was exactly half a month later. You knew this was your glimpse of destiny talent activating. As your strength grew, those who could significantly impact your destiny were all unfathomably powerful. The talent level of the Hongmengdao Palace was somewhat unable to keep up. The glimpse of destiny talent had not been activated for a long time. This time, after it advanced to a Chaos Supreme Treasure, the glimpse of destiny talent activated very quickly again. You knew that this person was most likely the cursed Dao Immortal Emperor. However, in the previous simulation, he descended a few months later. This time, he was eager to kill you in less than a month. Could it be that your cultivation aptitude startled even the dark forces? Putting great pressure on the immortal emperors of the Chaos realm, so they agreed to kill you in advance. You thought it was very likely. With less than half a month, your remaining time was limited. You decided to leave this epoch and go to the prehistoric era in 10 days. During these 10 days, you had 2 things to do. One was to continue plundering resources, and the second was to find Nether God Wuchang. Your intuition told you that gathering the complete reincarnation authority might lead to unexpected changes. 606. Rampant and unbridled, with complete authority. The demon era, destiny is fulfilled. The useful resources in the Chaos realm have been almost completely plundered by you. The Tianwu Divine Hall, though your current realm prevents you from participating in its legacy trial, has also been packed up and taken by you. After all, there are still quite a few treasures inside. Afterward, your true body, carrying the Hongmengdao Palace, entered the Dao Ruins realm. You began to visit, one by one, the forces that had previously tried to seize your supreme treasure. With your current strength, it is still very difficult to completely wipe them out. Moreover, they also have immortal emperors backing them, and you don't want to push them to the point of desperation. But threatening and intimidating them, making them compensate you with some resources, that's reasonable, isn't it? Most forces were quite sensible and offered some compensation. Only a few stubborn ones, like Curse Abyss, firmly refused to give anything. If they won't give anything, you send your Dao body to sneak in and steal. Anyway, this is what you deserve. Nether God Wuchang was also quickly found by you using Destiny Dao principles. He had joined a second-rate force, which had a few low-level quasi-immortal emperors. You didn't even bother to ask more questions and directly annihilated them. When you killed him and obtained the last trace of reincarnation authority in his hands. Besides the increase in your strength, you actually sense the reincarnation system of other epochs. You can use time laws, with the reincarnation system as a springboard, to travel through other epochs. This was an unexpected pleasant surprise. You also let your Dao body try it, and it successfully traveled to the profound Dao era. This method of travel is even more time and energy saving than ordinary space-time travel. This way, you no longer need to trouble the existence in the shadows. You left a Tao body in the chaos realm. Your true body, on the other hand, carried a large amount of resources and a group of your other selves, constantly traveling towards the prehistoric era. Your target is the fourth epoch, the Demon Tao era. The Human Tao era precedes the Demon Tao era, and the Demon Tao epoch follows it. There were also many existences cultivating destiny power in the Demon Tao epoch, but they were all massacred at the end of the epoch. It is relatively dangerous for you, so you definitely won't go there. And in the Human Tao era, there is a large human race. Although the existence in the shadows said that cultivating destiny Tao principles in the prehistoric era would not attract the dark forces. You cannot be entirely certain. Better safe than sorry. To be on the safe side, you won't harm the human race. It's better to harm the Yao race. After all, who made you a human race as well? You are definitely kinder to your own kind. You are constantly traveling towards the prehistoric. When you successfully entered the Demon Tao era, your Tao body left in the Immortal Tao era began to sacrifice the last 2 Emperor stars. This time, you chose to enhance Destiny Tao principles. Your Destiny Tao principles, which were close to major achievement, directly entered the major achievement realm. The moment your Destiny Tao principles reached major achievement, 3 Dark Immortal Emperors suddenly tore through the void realm and attacked your Tao body. This time, they couldn't hold back any longer. However, they discovered that this was only your Tao body, not your true body. But for an Immortal Emperor, this is not difficult. Whether it is a Tao body, clone, incarnation, or past self, present self, future self, they can directly obliterate the true body through the connection between it and the true body. They can even obliterate you through your historical projection. However, they then realized they had miscalculated. You possess a special ability that prevents them from killing your true body through your Tao body. They then tried to kill your historical projection, but it was equally useless. This is the talent, world's unification. Others cannot kill your true body through past, future, incarnation, or other means. To completely kill you, they can only kill your true body face to face. If your Hongmeng Tao Palace had not advanced, you might have been unable to escape death. But now that it has advanced to a Chaos Supreme Treasure, even an Immortal Emperor cannot do anything to you. However, with your departure, you will not be able to become the child of extinction. This is one of the realm rules. The child of extinction and epic child of each epoch can only exist within that epoch. This is one of the realm rules. After leaving their respective epoch, even if they have already become the child of extinction and epic child, the world-destroying power halo and epic power halo on them will dissipate. Otherwise, if these guys were allowed to destroy other epochs, that would be too overpowered. Whose would those world-destroying power and epic power ultimately belong to? During the middle stage of the Demon Tao era, when your true body's Destiny Tao principles reached major achievement, everyone else cultivating Destiny Tao principles in the Demon Tao era sensed it. These people were mostly Great Yao, with very few human race members seen. The human race of the previous epoch left too deep a fear. At the beginning of this epoch, many human race members were massacred by prehistoric powerhouses from the Beast Tao and Soul Tao epochs. Eventually, it evolved into the Demon Tao era. Destiny Tao principles major achievement, it seems another Destiny Venerable has appeared in the world. A large yellowish-brown turtle nearby raised its head and muttered to itself, its eyes filled with envy. He had cultivated Destiny Tao principles for hundreds of millions of years, and he was only a small Destiny Master. Becoming a Destiny Venerable was a distant dream. As soon as he finished speaking, the next moment, a white-clothed youth descended before him. It startled him greatly. "Were you the one muttering about me behind my back?" The white-clothed youth looked at it playfully. Looking at the strong destiny power on him, who else could it be but the Destiny Venerable who just appeared? "My lord, spare me." This humble one was merely envious, and absolutely said nothing bad. The large turtle quickly begged for mercy. To achieve major achievement in Destiny Tao principles, one must at least be a high-level Immortal Venerable, or perhaps even a quasi-Immortal Emperor. It dared not offend such a being. The white-clothed youth was naturally you. You sensed a great Yao cultivating destiny power nearby, so you descended to this place. You were not there to demand an explanation, but to inquire about some information regarding the Demon Tao era. The large turtle breathed a sigh of relief upon hearing this and began to tell you what you wanted to know in detail. But he spoke too slowly. After listening for a while, you directly performed a soul search on him. You quickly gained an understanding of this epic. Currently, this place is the highest plane of the Demon Tao era, the Demon Domain. Within it, there are also various large and small sub-dimensions. However, these dimensions are generally stronger than the Immortal Domain dimensions. The top 3 powerful sub-dimensions have even given birth to quasi-immortal emperors. You speculate that this might be related to the Tao Ruins realm. The Tao Ruins realm constantly devouring past time and space led to the weakening of the chaos origin, which caused this situation in later generations. 607. The realm of life cultivation, changing fate against the will of heaven. The death of the master of the 10,000 monsters valley, the magical use of the demon bottle. Besides, in this epic, there are indeed many demonic creatures who cultivate destiny power. They call themselves fate cultivators. And they are divided into 5 realms, from high to low. Those who have not yet entered the Destiny Tao principles but have initially come into contact with destiny power are called fate disciples. The subsequent entry, minor achievement, major achievement, and perfection are respectively called Fate Master, Fate Sect Master, Destiny Venerable, and Fate Lord. You are now a Destiny Venerable, second only to a Fate Lord. I heard that many powerful destiny power cultivators have also formed a very powerful force. This force encompasses most of the people who have cultivated Destiny Tao principles throughout history. But the name and location of this force are not something this demon turtle, who has just entered the Destiny Tao principles, can know. It only knows that such a force exists. After gaining some understanding of the current era, you had no intention of getting deeply involved. Instead, you planned to cultivate in seclusion here. In this epic, the River of Destiny had not yet been sealed. You could clearly sense its location. You intended to enter it and first achieve perfection in the Destiny Tao principles, then break through to the Immortal Venerable 10th level. However, you had not yet left the Demon Turtle. When a peerless great demon at the quasi-immortal Emperor 2nd level, the divine beast Suan Ni, found you. He said he was the lord of the myriad demons valley of the Demon Domain and wanted to invite you to become an elder of the 10,000 Demons Valley. The 10,000 Demons Valley is a household name in the Demon Domain. After all, there are only 2 quasi-immortal emperors openly in the entire Demon Domain right now. The Lord of the Myriad Demons Valley is one of them. So, the power of the 10,000 Demons Valley is imaginable. It is definitely one of the 2 top forces in the current era. Before you could speak, the demon turtle beside you was so scared by his background that it trembled. But you didn't give him any face and directly refused. The Lord of the Myriad Demons Valley was stunned, not expecting that there was someone in this world who dared to refuse his request. He understood how rare a Destiny Venerable was, so he condescended to come in person, but he didn't expect you to be so unappreciative. However, he still had a certain level of composure and did not get angry. Even though your realm was only Immortal Venerable, with your Destiny Tao principles at major achievement, it would be difficult for him to suppress you. So, he said again. Since that's the case, he won't force it, but he hopes you can do him a small favor, to change the fate of all his more than 30,000 offspring against heaven. You laughed when you heard that. This is called a small favor. Changing fate against heaven consumes a lot of destiny power. Changing the fate of his more than 30,000 offspring against heaven would be time-consuming and labor-intensive. Isn't that purely treating you like an ox or a horse? This request was far more excessive than his previous invitation for you to be an elder. Of course, his invitation for you to be an elder probably had this purpose as well. This guy might be used to being overbearing and actually came to your place to act wildly. No wonder you didn't hear of the 10,000 Demons Valley in the Tao Ruins realm of later generations. With such a lord, it was probably destroyed in history long ago. However, you did not immediately refuse. Instead, with a look of hesitation, you said, "It's not impossible, but it depends on whether you can pay an equivalent reward." Upon hearing this, the Lord of the Myriad Demons Valley reluctantly took out a chaos spiritual treasure. This was a small blue bottle. He said it was called the Demon Taming Bottle, and it could produce a drop of immortal liquid every day, which could transform anything into a blue-skinned demoness, extremely enchanting. Now, for the future of his offspring, he had no choice but to part with it reluctantly. Good heavens, it's the blue enchantress, isn't it? Who the hell needs this thing? The reward this guy gave was completely insincere. Go to hell. You kicked the small blue bottle away and slapped the Lord of the Myriad Demons Valley to the ground, rendering him motionless. Only then did he realize that your strength was even more terrifying than his. He cried out for mercy, but your eyes were cold and sharp, and you spent a little time refining him into ashes. The good things on him were also plundered by you. Among them was a chaos spiritual treasure named Heaven's Shaking Bow, which was his life-bound treasure and quite powerful. Only then did you nod in satisfaction. If he had given you this chaos spiritual treasure, you would not have taken such a ruthless hand. Of course, wanting you to change fate against heaven was still out of the question. But it could be considered his ransom. Now his life was gone, and the item still belonged to you. The demon turtle buried its head in the dirt, indicating that it hadn't seen anything. You ignored it and turned your gaze to the small blue bottle on the ground in the distance. This thing was also a chaos spiritual treasure. It would be a bit of a shame to lose it. Forget it, let's keep it for now. You picked up the demon-taming bottle, pulled out the stopper, and found that there was exactly 1 drop of immortal liquid inside. To test the effect, you dripped it onto the demon turtle. Subsequently, the demon turtle saw its hands and feet change. From a male old turtle, it turned into a blue old demoness. No, it immediately let out a heaven's shaking scream. You nodded, thinking the effect was pretty good. This thing could be used as a form of torture in the future. For those stubborn individuals, just give them a drop. See who still dares to disobey you. However, an old demoness was too much of an eyesore. You then used time acceleration to create another drop of immortal liquid. This time, you dripped it onto an immortal wood. That immortal wood immediately transformed into a slender young demoness, extremely alluring. Moreover, this was just an ordinary immortal wood. After being transformed, it possessed the strength of an immortal king. And its aptitude was good. As long as it diligently cultivated, an immortal emperor was highly probable in the future. This was worthy of the name of a chaos spiritual treasure. Moreover, this also allowed you to discover a new use for the demon-taming bottle. You still had over 170 million feet other selves in your hands. Most of them weren't even human immortals. You collected a lot of resources from the chaos realm, which were actually for their cultivation. Although you could directly modify their fate, the sheer number meant the destiny power you would consume would be astronomical. Anyway, you weren't in a hurry to fuse them now. So, you originally planned to let them continue to cultivate in accelerated time. The appearance of the demon-taming bottle, however, gave you a new avenue. Just 1 drop of immortal liquid could turn them into immortal kings and give them immortal emperor aptitude. How wonderful is that? Of course, to use it on your other selves, you would first have to remove the extremely yin demonic power from the immortal liquid, retaining only the ability to increase cultivation and aptitude. 608. Entering the long river of destiny, he and I are elevated. Destiny is complete, mysterious existence. To remove the extreme yin demonic chi, you only need to spend a little destiny power. You hand this matter over to the Tao body responsible for increasing his strength. Meanwhile, the old demoness, transformed from the demon turtle, was still screaming in agony. You directly extracted the extreme yin demonic chi from his body, allowing him to return to his original state. The demon turtle was immediately overcome with gratitude, saying that your great kindness would never be forgotten. See, he even has to thank you. However, to be safe, you still erased the demon turtle's memory of this incident. And you sent a Tao body, disguised as the Lord of the Myriad Demons Valley, back to the 10,000 Demons Valley. According to the normal historical trajectory, the Lord of the Myriad Demons Valley would die at the hands of the sect master of the Heavenly Demon sect over 1,000,000 years later. You didn't want to change history too much, lest you attract the attention of the Demon Tao Immortal Emperor. Subsequently, your main body did not linger here, but instead went directly to the River of Destiny. The River of Destiny is located in the deepest 9th layer of space. It coexists with the Chaos Origin. It is deeper than the space of the River of Time. Immortal Lord and Immortal King can access the River of Time. However, for the River of Destiny, those below Quasi-Immortal Emperor basically have no possibility of contact. However, Destiny cultivators can draw upon the power of the River of Destiny, achieving an effect similar to entering it. With your strength, of course, you don't need such trouble, you can enter it directly. Arriving at the 9th layer of space, you finally saw the unsealed River of Destiny. This river, of unknown length, extends into the endless void, billions of times more brilliant than a galaxy. Everyone can see their own destiny's trajectory from within the long river. The ethereal destiny, the mandate of heaven, no one can grasp it. But coming here, it seems there is a possibility of grasping it. You began to examine your own destiny. This is human nature. After all, who wouldn't be curious about their own destiny? However, the longer you looked, the darker your expression became. Destiny has infinite possibilities, but all your destinies point to one possibility. That is to fall into the hands of the dark forces. You desperately searched for a glimmer of hope, refusing to believe, but ultimately found nothing. You let out a long sigh. Now it seems that only by cultivating the Destiny Tao principles to perfection can there be a way to break the situation. With the Destiny Tao principles cultivated to perfection, there will be a possibility of transcending destiny. At that time, you will no longer be bound by the river of destiny. You entered the river of destiny and began to comprehend the Destiny Tao principles. To achieve perfection in the Destiny Tao principles, you must fully comprehend all the mysteries of the river of destiny. Fortunately, you have the blessing of infinite enlightenment, otherwise, it would probably only be possible by the end of the Demon Tao epoch. Time flowed by rapidly, and your main body entered a deep seclusion. As for your other selves, with the help of the demon capturing bottle, in just over a year, they all became immortal kings. After that, they consumed resources and engaged in arduous cultivation. After nearly 2 more years, all your other selves had reached the quasi-immortal emperor realm. To further break through from quasi-immortal emperor to immortal emperor, that requires the fusion of at least 999 other selves. Your Tao body asked your main body, who was in seclusion, whether to continue cultivating the strength of your other selves. Your main body pondered for a moment and decided to continue cultivating them. Even over 170 million quasi-immortal emperors would struggle to defeat one immortal sovereign peak expert. If all these other selves were cultivated to the immortal sovereign peak, then you would gain a staggering 170,000 immortal sovereign peak experts. Far more useful than over 170 million quasi-immortal emperors. As for the half-step immortal exalted and even immortal venerable later, they require complete innate spirits. So there's no need to continue cultivating them. Immortal sovereign peak requires 27 ancestral court buildings, which are almost non-existent in the immortal Tao era except for you. Even immortal emperors are not as numerous as 170,000, at most, there are about 100,000. To cultivate 170,000 immortal sovereign peak experts, even if you plundered most of the resources from the Chaos realm and obtained some from the Tao Ruins realm, it would probably still be quite difficult. But you still have the Demon Tao epoch. One of your Tao bodies is now the Lord of the Myriad Demons Valley, and it's time for him to exert his power. As long as the actions are fast enough, the Demon Tao Immortal Emperor should also find it difficult to detect. By the time your Destiny Tao principles are in perfection, even the Demon Tao Immortal Emperor will find it hard to do anything to you. Soon, the 10,000 Demons Valley began its path of expansion. It started to recruit a large number of troops, conquer territories, and plunder resources. 3 years passed in this manner. The 10,000 Demons Valley had conquered 1/3 of the Demon Domain's territory. The number of your other selves who had broken through to Immortal Sovereign Peak also reached 50,000. And your main body, after nearly 7 years, finally comprehended all the mysteries of the River of Destiny. Your Destiny Tao principles successfully reached perfection. You can draw upon the power of the River of Destiny, your destiny power is almost infinite. At this time, with your full modification, you can modify Immortal to the Immortal Venerable realm, which is absolutely heaven-defying. Of course, the more exaggerated the modification, the greater the backlash from the River of Destiny. You wouldn't easily do that. Having comprehended all the mysteries of the Destiny Tao principles, you finally understood its power. Its essence is at least 7 or 8 times stronger than the Xuanpin Immortal Emperor you encountered before. You don't know if it has reached beyond Immortal Emperor. But it is definitely stronger than most Immortal Emperors. Even the dark forces can only seal it, not destroy it. Therefore, the power of backlash from the River of Destiny is something you cannot eliminate. Like some people who have just begun or achieved minor achievement in Destiny Tao principles, they use destiny power recklessly. Little do they know that all destiny power has long been priced. Later, they will have to repay it with interest. After the Destiny Tao principles reached perfection, you also vaguely sensed a powerful concealing force within the River of Destiny. It seemed to be hiding something. And at the moment your Destiny Tao principles reached perfection, you had a peculiar connection with it. The thing hidden in the River of Destiny must be extraordinary. With your strength and control over destiny, you could completely force it open. But due to a dangerous intuition, you did not act rashly. At this time, you thought of the mysterious force established by a group of destiny cultivators. You wondered if it was related to it. After the Destiny Tao principles reached perfection, your main body began to engrave them into the ancestral court. These years, you have used a large amount of destiny power to strengthen the ancestral court. The buildings within the ancestral court have already reached 108. This is several times stronger than even Immortal Sovereign Peak. It can fully accommodate the Destiny Tao principles. 609. The leader of the Heavenly Demon Sect, the Temple of Destiny. Make a good relationship with the Immortal Emperor Zhu Yan. Of course, it's not easy to engrave the Destiny Tao principles. It will probably take several years. After that, your main body will continue to cultivate in seclusion within the River of Destiny. Your Tao body, posing as the Lord of the Myriad Demons Valley, continues to seize opportunities on a large scale. Many demons are suffering immensely and have fled to Dragon Island, hoping that the Lord of Dragon Island will step forward to uphold justice. The Lord of Dragon Island is the only other quasi-immortal emperor in the demon domain. His strength is even greater than that of the Lord of the Myriad Demons Valley. However, these demons' plans may fall through. The Lord of Dragon Island seems to have encountered some trouble recently and has not appeared for a long time. Even the various Dragon Clan members on Dragon Island haven't found any trace of him. In other words, the Lord of the Myriad Demons Valley now dominates the demon domain. 3 years passed in a flash. You now have 100,000 other selves who have cultivated to the Immortal Sovereign Peak realm. Currently, only just over 70,000 people are left, but most of them have already entered the Immortal Sovereign realm. The Immortal Sovereign Peak realm can contend with powerhouses at the Immortal Venerable 1st or 2nd level. Now, just your other selves alone constitute a force capable of shaking the demon domain's structure. And your Destiny Tao principles have been mostly engraved. It is estimated that in less than a year, you will be able to finish engraving and successfully step into the Immortal Venerable 10th level. And at this moment, an unexpected person suddenly sought out the Lord of the Myriad Demons Valley. It was the sect master of the Heavenly Demon Sect, whom you had never met before. This person is a hidden powerhouse, with strength far exceeding that of the original Lord of the Myriad Demons Valley. According to the historical trajectory, the Lord of the Myriad Demons Valley died at his hands over 1,000,000 years later. Moreover, the Heavenly Demon Sect has no small origin. The Demon Tao Immortal Emperor was born in this sect. Later, the Demon Tao Immortal Emperor renamed it the Demon Emperor Sect. That's right, it's the Demon Emperor Sect you previously dealt with in the Tao Ruins realm. Tiando Divine Master's father-in-law also came from this sect. You don't know why this person suddenly came to visit. Could it be that the Myriad Demons Valley has been too prominent recently, squeezing the Heavenly Demon Sect's living space? So, he's here to cause trouble. You hadn't paid much attention to the sect master of the Heavenly Demon Sect originally. Now that he's come knocking, don't blame you for peeking into his destiny. Then, your Tao body was shocked to discover that he was also a fate master who had cultivated the Destiny Tao principles to perfection. It has not yet been heard in the demon domain that anyone has cultivated to become a fate master. Could this person be a prehistoric powerhouse? Your expression became solemn. Every move of a fate master has profound meaning. It's definitely not as simple as just causing trouble. The sect master of the Heavenly Demon Sect smiled and said not to misunderstand. He wasn't here to cause trouble, but was entrusted by someone to invite you to join the Destiny Divine Hall. This was the first time you had heard the name Destiny Divine Hall. You asked curiously, is this the mysterious force established by the Fate cultivators? The sect master of the Heavenly Demon Sect nodded and said, that's right, the Destiny Divine Hall is located within the River of Destiny. Unless it reveals itself, even a quasi-immortal emperor cannot find it. Of course, if one cultivates the Destiny Tao principles to the perfection realm, they can also find its location. Upon hearing this, you immediately understood. It seems your previous guess was correct. The concealing power in the River of Destiny should be hiding the location of the Destiny Divine Hall. You asked him who he was invited by. The sect master of the Heavenly Demon Sect smiled mysteriously and said you would know once you went to the Destiny Divine Hall. 610. The first life master in history, the old man Tianyan. The secret of the immortal ancestor, the 10th level of immortal. However, the Demon Emperor Sect, passed down by Zhu Yan Immortal Emperor, had quite a few rifts with you in later epochs due to the 9 Vaults Demon Lord. This was something that happened several epochs later. You still greatly admired Zhu Yan, Immortal Emperor's unyielding character. Today, you decided to form a good connection, regardless of whether it would be useful or not. After all, you couldn't actively provoke him, could you? The Lord of the Heavenly Demon Sect spent some time settling Zhu Yan. After that, he brought you to the Destiny Divine Hall. Within the River of Destiny, a mysterious vortex appeared, and you followed closely behind the Lord of the Heavenly Demon Sect, entering it. On the other side of the vortex, what met your eyes was a vast complex of divine halls. From these divine halls, a grand destiny power emanated. Clearly, someone was constantly cultivating destiny power. The Lord of the Heavenly Demon Sect led you to the tallest divine hall. Upon entering, you only saw an old man dressed in coarse linen clothes. The Lord of the Heavenly Demon Sect called him the Hall Master. The linen-clad old man waved his hand, and the Lord of the Heavenly Demon Sect retreated. Then he looked at you and said something astonishing. You are from the later Immortal Tao era, aren't you? The River of Destiny and Destiny cultivators suffered devastating blows in the 5th epoch. The Destiny Divine Hall has most likely also been destroyed. Logically speaking, he shouldn't have been able to perceive events after the 5th epoch. Unexpectedly, he could recognize at a glance the time period you came from. You said, "That's right, Junior has taken refuge here. May I ask Senior your name?" The linen-clad old man said, "They all call me Tianyan Old Man. I come from the Soul Dao era, and this Destiny Divine Hall was also founded by me in the Soul Dao era." You felt a surge of respect. You hadn't expected that he was not only the Hall Master but also the founder of the Destiny Divine Hall. He asked, "Do you know why he wanted to found this Destiny Divine Hall?" You tentatively said, "Could it be because you wanted to heaven-defying change destiny and reverse the outcome?" Unexpectedly, Tianyan Old Man nodded and said, "Exactly. This old man is the first person to cultivate Destiny Tao principles to perfection. I peered into my own destiny, but found that I could not live past the 5th epoch. So I founded the Destiny Divine Hall, hoping to change the inevitable demise for myself and all destiny cultivators." You secretly marveled. As expected of the first person to become a Fate Master, his methods and breadth of mind were indeed incomparable to ordinary people. Subsequently, Tianyan Old Man looked at you with a hint of curiosity and said, "You are the first destiny cultivator from after the 5th epoch. I discovered you as soon as you arrived in the Demon Tao era. It's just that I didn't understand your identity and was afraid you were from the dark forces, so I never alarmed you. Only when you became a Fate Master did I know that you were from the Chaos Realm and had not fallen into darkness, which is why I sent the Lord of the Heavenly Demon Sect to invite you. I wonder what the situation of destiny cultivators is like after the 5th epoch. You said that you were the only destiny cultivator after the 5th epoch. It was also by coincidence and through the Doomsday Altar that you achieved major achievement in Destiny Tao principles. However, because of this, you were also pursued by the dark forces, which is why you fled to the Demon Tao era." Tianyan Old Man nodded, unsure how much he believed your words. Afterward, you chatted for a long time. You gained a lot of information about the Destiny Divine Hall. The primary goal of the Destiny Divine Hall since its founding has been to heaven-defying change destiny. Tianyan Old Man adopted 2 methods for this. One was to vigorously cultivate destiny cultivators. The other was to make every effort to befriend powerful individuals from various epochs, especially immortal emperors. Besides you and Tianyan Old Man, the Destiny Divine Hall had 4 other Fate Masters. Except for the Lord of the Heavenly Demon Sect, the others were all Tianyan Old Man's disciples. If it weren't for his cultivation, it is estimated that the Destiny Divine Hall would now only have him and the Lord of the Heavenly Demon Sect as Fate Masters. This shows how difficult it is to give birth to a Fate Master. Immortal Emperors can be born in every epoch, but the birth of a Fate Master cannot be guaranteed at all. However, it cannot be said that the difficulty of a Fate Master's birth is greater than that of an Immortal Emperor. Because Immortal Emperors are all achieved by the Child of Extinction and the Epic Child. Without these 2 peculiar Tao principles, Immortal Emperors would also be very difficult to be born. However, there was still a strange point here. Each epoch gave birth to an Immortal Emperor. So, which epoch was that immortal ancestor born in? It couldn't be that one epoch gave birth to 2 Immortal Emperors, could it? Or, can the Child of Extinction and the Epic Child become Immortal Emperors at the same time? So you posed this question to Tianyan Old Man. Tianyan Old Man shook his head and said that only one Immortal Emperor could be born in an epoch. This was an ironclad rule of the Chaos Realm. Regarding the immortal ancestor you mentioned, he had not heard of him. If he truly existed, there were two possibilities. Either he was born in an unknown era before the first epoch, or he was born after the 8th epoch. It was impossible for him to be born in the 8 epochs where immortal emperors had already appeared. You nodded secretly. It seemed that the origin of this immortal ancestor was indeed mysterious. If you met Mount I Immortal Emperor in the future, you would have to ask him thoroughly. Finally, you asked about something you were more concerned about. You said that you lacked cultivation resources, so you had plundered quite a bit in the current Demon Dao era, and you wondered if it would anger the future Zuyan Immortal Emperor. Unexpectedly, Tianyan Old Man smiled. He said that he couldn't guarantee other epochs, but in the Demon Dao era, you could do as you pleased. Because Zuyan Immortal Emperor's true body had already gone missing in the 6th epoch, the God Dao era. What he left behind now was just a historical phantom. As long as you didn't destroy the Demon Dao era, his historical phantom would almost never attack you. This was also why the Destiny Divine Hall anchored its headquarters in the Demon Dao era. Hearing this, you breathed a sigh of relief. Since that was the case, you felt at ease. It was just that an immortal emperor would also go missing, which you hadn't expected. You asked Tianyan Old Man the reason, and he said he didn't know either, but it was most likely due to the dark forces. Subsequently, Tianyan Old Man hoped that you would join the Destiny Divine Hall and become an elder. You naturally agreed. The Destiny Divine Hall had quite a few destiny-related Dao arts and divine techniques. You were very interested. Moreover, its intelligence capabilities and organizational network were quite extensive, which you also needed. Joining the Destiny Divine Hall would undoubtedly raise your safety factor to another level. For a newly joined elder, and a Fate Master at that, many Destiny cultivators in the Destiny Divine Hall came to congratulate you. You also took this opportunity to forge some connections. Just like that, a year later, your true body finally finished engraving all Destiny Dao principles. You successfully made a breakthrough to Immortal Venerable 10th level, and your strength greatly increased. Without using the Hongmeng Dao Palace, your strength was definitely not inferior to a quasi-immortal emperor of the 5th level. 611. The Sacred Object of Destiny, the Wishing Compass. The wish of the witch, that is my mentor. Finally, Immortal Venerable 10th level. You were quite emotional. Cultivating these Destiny Dao principles was truly not easy. Not only did you face several pursuits from the dark forces, but you also had to contend with threats from above the Immortal Emperor level. This forced your main body to hide in the Demon Dao era. Fortunately, it was finally perfection, and you successfully achieved a breakthrough to Immortal Venerable 10th level. Next up is Quasi-Immortal Emperor. However, to achieve a breakthrough to Quasi-Immortal Emperor, one needs to be in harmony with the past, present, and future 3 great time spaces. To achieve this, you must return to the Immortal Dao era. And once you return, you will again be pursued by the dark forces. It's really difficult. When faced with a problem, you naturally sought advice from Tianyan Old Man, an experienced senior. However, Tianyan Old Man also had no good solution for this. But he still offered you a suggestion, saying there was a precious item called the Wishing Compass. This was a divine object born from the River of Destiny, and one would appear in each epoch. Currently, only 3 have emerged from the first 5 epochs, with 2 still missing. In subsequent epochs, the River of Destiny was sealed, so it's unknown if more will be born. If you could find the Wishing Compass, you could fully utilize its power to aid your breakthrough. After speaking, Tianyan Old Man also gave you an image, which was precisely the appearance of the Wishing Compass. You saw the image and your body trembled. Because on it, strikingly, was the shape of a bronze compass. During the Heavenly Witch trial, you had also picked up a bronze compass in the past Tianwu domain. You wondered if it was the Wishing Compass Tianyan Old Man spoke of. However, in this simulation, your cultivation had already surpassed Immortal Venerable, making it impossible to enter the trial. And when you left the Immortal Dao era, you were in too much of a hurry, only packing up the Tianwu Divine Hall and not returning to the past to search. Now, that bronze compass was not in your hands. However, this didn't stump you. Sending a Dao body back for a trip would suffice. Harmonizing with past, present, and future time-space takes a relatively long time. But finding something, with your strength, was just a matter of a few finger snaps. You quickly sent a Dao body back to its death, to find the bronze compass. As soon as your Dao body stepped into the Immortal Dao era, It was sensed by several immortal emperors of the dark forces. However, due to the destiny power and void destiny on your body, your chi was obscured. They were temporarily unable to confirm your location. Soon, your Dao body returned to the past Tianwu domain. But your Dao sense swept through and did not find the bronze compass. You went to the place where the bronze compass was buried in the previous simulation. Still, nothing was found. What's going on? How did it suddenly disappear? Could it be that someone discovered it during this time? You felt that things were not that simple. Although you couldn't find the bronze compass, you couldn't come back empty-handed. So, you packed up the entire past Tianwu domain and took it with you. You brought it back to the Demon Dao era. Your main body carefully studied it. Based on destiny and karma power, you discovered that the bronze compass didn't disappear, rather, its appearance had specific conditions. This condition was most likely the Heavenly Witch trial. So, you sent your 12 Immortal Emperor peak clones into the Tianwu Divine Hall to participate in the trial. This time, the bronze compass indeed appeared. It was indeed identical to the image Tianyan Old Man gave you. But you found that it was unusable. You found Tianyan Old Man again. Tianyan Old Man shook his head and said, "This wishing compass has already been used." What? You worked so hard for so long, and it had already been used? Then Tianyan Old Man activated his destiny power and began to investigate who used it and what was wished for. Although he also had perfection in destiny Dao principles, his use of destiny power was far more seasoned than yours. He quickly found out that the person who used it was Tianwu Immortal Lord. And the content of the wish was, Wu Tuo would become the true spirit clone of his ultimate legacy holder. It must be said that this wish was extremely clever. First, it clarified the ultimate legacy holder, ensuring the continuation of his legacy. Second, it left a powerful trump card for the legacy holder, ensuring he could survive better. An immortal venerable is difficult to control, but if he becomes a true spirit clone, then they are one, and it doesn't matter who controls whom. But you almost spat out a mouthful of old blood. Such a precious wishing compass was actually used on a mere immortal venerable clone. Tianwu Immortal Lord was truly squandering a heavenly treasure. Of course, his legacy was ultimately obtained by you, so it was considered indirectly used for you. Therefore, you only thought about it internally and made no complaints verbally. After all, the Heavenly Witch legacy indeed provided you with no small assistance. You couldn't eat a meal yesterday and then curse yesterday's meal today, asking why it wasn't saved for today. However, you still couldn't help but ask, if you went back to before Tianwu Immortal Lord made his wish and killed him, would this wishing compass then be usable? Tianyan Old Man gave you a sidelong glance and said that only a wishing compass that had never been used in the past, present, or future could be used by you. Even killing Tianwu would be useless. You smiled awkwardly and said, Tianwu Immortal Lord is my benefactor. I am someone who repays a drop of kindness with a gushing spring. How could I do such a thing? I was just hypothesizing. It seems this wishing compass cannot be used. But it still has research value, so keep it for now. You were originally preparing to leave. However, Tianyan Old Man suddenly called out to you, saying that he knew the whereabouts of an unused wishing compass. As long as you gave him the wishing compass in your hand, he would tell you its whereabouts. You looked at him suspiciously and asked, since he knows, why doesn't he go get it himself? Why tell you instead? Is he trying to get something for nothing? Tianyan Old Man became displeased now and said, forget it if you don't want it. You quickly said, I want it, I want it, I want it. The one in your hand has already been used, so keeping it is not of much value to you, at most it deepens your understanding of destiny power. Subsequently, you handed the used wishing compass to Tianyan Old Man. Tianyan Old Man then said, actually, that compass is in the hands of the dark forces. Hearing this, your eyes widened, and you quickly tried to snatch the compass back. Damn it, if it's in the hands of the dark forces, what good is telling you? Tianyan Old Man, however, said, don't rush, let me finish. According to the River of Destiny, that compass is about to fall into the hands of the dark forces, but it hasn't yet. However, if you try to snatch it, you will definitely anger the dark forces. Anyway, you are already being pursued by the dark forces, which is why this old man is willing to tell you. Upon hearing this, you urged him to speak clearly and stop beating around the bush. 612. The Lord of Dragon Island, Zhu Yan achieves enlightenment. Obtain the compass and break through to become a quasi-immortal emperor. Tianyan old man said, the item is with the Lord of Dragon Island. You just need to find him. You immediately sent a Dao body to Dragon Island. Although Dragon Island is an island, it is no smaller than the sixth heaven of the immortal realm. The hundreds of thousands of dragon clan living on it are extremely xenophobic. They absolutely did not welcome your arrival. Your Dao body didn't bother with pleasantries and suppressed them all directly. Afterward, you discovered that the Lord of Dragon Island had been missing for 10 years. Even his closest kin didn't know where he had gone. Could he have died? You went back to before the Lord of Dragon Island disappeared and found his historical phantom entering the River of Time, its whereabouts unknown. Following the Destiny Dao principles and causality laws, you traced his whereabouts along the River of Time. You found him continuously moving towards the future. Until he entered the period when the demon Dao Immortal Emperor was born. You followed his trail and stepped into that point in time. You happened to witness the grand occasion of Zhu Yan's breakthrough to Immortal Emperor. Rumble. The heavens rumbled, and the myriad Dao principles vibrated. Boundless divine light manifested endless phenomena, billions of immortal lights soared, and auspicious glow filled the universe. This kind of scene can only be seen once in an epic. That old dragon, the Lord of Dragon Island, was hiding in a corner, watching all of this with envy. Immortal Emperor means invincibility. If he were an Immortal Emperor, why would he need to hide? The next moment, a white-robed figure descended before him. He was captured with a single hand. He was a quasi-immortal emperor of the third level, yet he was taken down in one encounter. What realm was this person in? However, his realm didn't matter. Because he could sense the chi of the human race on your body. Zhu Yan Immortal Emperor, save me. A human race is capturing a Yao race quasi-immortal emperor right in front of you. The Lord of Dragon Island struggled desperately, sending out a vast divine thought to the Zhu Yan Immortal Emperor who was in the midst of his breakthrough, seeking help. Zhu Yan Immortal Emperor glanced over here. So it's Senior. He recognized your identity. Even though you were the Lord of the Myriad Demons Valley at that time, your true identity could not be hidden from a true Immortal Emperor. Then, he turned his head away, no longer paying attention to this place. Oh no, the Demon Dao Immortal Emperor actually isn't helping his own Yao. The Lord of Dragon Island despaired. He didn't understand why Zhu Yan Immortal Emperor didn't help him. Subsequently, he was completely suppressed by you, unable to emit any divine thought. You performed a soul search on him and found that the wishing compass was indeed on him. That was his unexpected opportunity in the Highland Ancestral Land. You now had some understanding of the Highland Ancestral Land. The Highland Ancestral Land, it is rumored, is the origin of the dark forces. To block the dark invasion, anyone who breaks through to quasi-immortal emperor must enter it periodically to resist the darkness. This rule was set by the Beast Dao Immortal Emperor of the first epoch. The Highland Ancestral Land is very dangerous, but occasionally there are opportunities. The Lord of Dragon Island had accidentally snatched this compass in the Highland Ancestral Land. But because of this, he angered a strong individual among the dark forces. He fled to this time and space to escape that strong individual. After all, there was an Immortal Emperor here, and he believed it was the safest place. Then, he fell into your hands, a human race, right in front of the Demon Dao Immortal Emperor. 613. Defeat the Sky Demon, the Third Life Master. The power of Hongmeng, darkness is coming. Half a day later, your great Dao body, Dao soul, and Dao power completed their transformation. The Ancestral Court also successfully established a connection with the Chaos Origin. From now on, every move you make can draw upon the power of the Chaos Origin. You have successfully broken through to Quasi-Immortal Emperor. Quasi-Immortal Emperor, and the Immortal Emperor after it, are both about the deep utilization of the Chaos Origin. Therefore, these two realms are collectively known as the Origin Realm. They are completely different from the previous Immortal Venerable. And the Ancestral Court is your bridge for utilizing the Chaos Origin. Your Ancestral Court has 108 buildings, and what is inscribed on them are mostly Supreme Dao principles. The Chaos Origin you can command is far greater than that of an ordinary Quasi-Immortal Emperor. You feel that your strength should be no less than that of a Quasi-Immortal Emperor 7th layer. Quasi-Immortal Emperor 7th layer is also a high-tier Quasi-Immortal Emperor. In other words, even though you just broke through, you possess the strength of a high-tier Quasi-Emperor. Most importantly, you can draw upon the power of the Chaos Origin, making it undoubtedly much easier to control the Hongmeng Dao Palace, a Chaos Supreme Treasure. Now, without the golden figure making a move, you can also use part of the Hongmengdao Palace's power. If you include the Hongmengdao Palace, it would be difficult for anyone below Immortal Emperor to be your opponent. Unknowingly, you have also reached this step. You have traversed a path in decades that others take hundreds of billions of years to complete. Thinking about the hardships and efforts along the way, it truly wasn't easy. All of this is forged by your sweat and is what you deserve. Next, it's time to eliminate the Lord of Dragon Island. You stole his wishing compass, and even if you let him go, he wouldn't thank you, instead, he would resent you. Therefore, you definitely won't keep him alive. As for the Hua Sheng Ren Fa, it is difficult for it to work on a transformed quasi-immortal emperor. Otherwise, you could have taken him as a subordinate. However, just as you were about to act, the Lord of the Heavenly Demon Sect suddenly came knocking. The Lord of the Heavenly Demon Sect said that he had a past acquaintance with the Lord of Dragon Island and hoped you could release him. The Lord of the Heavenly Demon Sect is also a Fate Master, and it is not difficult for him to know the whereabouts of the Lord of Dragon Island through destiny power. Therefore, you were not surprised by this. But to make you release him, impossible. You flatly refused. The Lord of the Heavenly Demon Sect's expression darkened, and he said that he still had great use for this demon and hoped you could reconsider. You still didn't budge. At this point, the Lord of the Heavenly Demon Sect completely lost his composure. He said that he, as an epic guardian, commanded you to release him. The epic guardian is an existence within the Destiny Divine Hall responsible for recruiting strong individuals from various epics and maintaining the Destiny Order. Currently, the Beast Dao, Soul Dao, Human Dao, Demonic Path, and Demon Dao, 5 great epics, each have an epic guardian. The Lord of the Heavenly Demon Sect is the Demon Dao Epic Guardian. His status is far above that of ordinary elders. You saw him trying to pressure you with his status, but you still ignored him. Instead, you provocatively said, if he has the guts, fight you. If he wins, you'll release the person, otherwise, don't keep hovering around you. Hearing this, the Lord of the Heavenly Demon Sect was amused by his anger. He is a quasi-immortal emperor 6th layer, and you, having just broken through to quasi-immortal emperor, want to challenge him. How arrogant. He agreed. Subsequently, the two of you entered the martial arts arena of the Destiny Divine Hall. 2 Fate Masters making a move is a very rare event. Many people in the Destiny Divine Hall were greatly interested in this. At least 1/3 of the people came to witness the battle. Today, I will make you lose wholeheartedly. In front of the Lord of the Heavenly Demon Sect, a Destiny Sword condensed. This is a powerful divine art in the Destiny Divine Hall. It can easily kill a quasi-immortal emperor, and even if you are a Fate Master, you will be severely wounded. However, a Destiny Sword also condensed in front of you. The 2 Destiny Swords collided. It was not your Destiny Sword that collapsed, but the Lord of the Heavenly Demon Sect's Destiny Sword. The remaining Destiny Sword struck him, causing him to spit out large mouthfuls of blood. He exclaimed in shock, "Aren't you someone who just broke through to quasi-immortal emperor? How can you have such powerful strength?" He knew you could fight above your realm. Based on his destiny analysis of you, you could at most contend with a quasi-immortal emperor 5th layer. Unexpectedly, it far exceeded his expectations. The other people in the Destiny Divine Hall were also startled by the sight. Your ability to fight above your realm is a bit exaggerated. In the Destiny Divine Hall's data on the 5 great epics, a person like you has never appeared before. Are people from the future all this fierce? The victor was decided, and you did not linger in the martial arts arena, leaving directly. But not long after, another uninvited guest came knocking. This time, it was the 3rd Fate Master of the Destiny Divine Hall. His strength was considerably stronger than the Lord of the Heavenly Demon Sects. He was a quasi-immortal emperor 9th layer. He came to persuade you to release the Lord of Dragon Island as well. He said that if you were unwilling to release him, then he would fight you. You knew that he was most likely invited by the Lord of the Heavenly Demon Sect. Good gracious, are they trying to increase the difficulty for you? Without another word, a Dao palace filled with primordial chi emerged behind you. This is a Chaos Supreme Treasure. The 3rd Fate Master was greatly startled, took 2 steps back, and awkwardly smiled. It's all a misunderstanding, don't be impulsive, I'm leaving now. After leaving your residence, a greedy look appeared on his face. This is a Chaos Supreme Treasure, only Tianyan Old Man in the Destiny Divine Hall possesses one. This is the Destiny Divine Hall's confidence in dealing with the strong individuals of various epochs. And for you, a quasi-immortal emperor first layer, to have such a supreme treasure is simply a waste of heavenly resources. However, how to seize it is a difficult problem. As soon as the third Fate Master left, you quickly killed the Lord of Dragon Island, lest you prolong the problem. But not long after, an unexpected person came knocking again. He was none other than Tianyan Old Man. Unexpectedly, the Lord of the Heavenly Demon Sect actually invited him as well. Is this Lord of Dragon Island really that important? You spread your hands and said that the Lord of Dragon Island had already been killed, so finding you was useless. However, Tianyan Old Man shook his head and said that he did not come for the Lord of Dragon Island. Then he asked you if you had just used a Chaos Supreme treasure. The third Fate Master was his disciple, and you thought he was being protective. So you said that you only intimidated him and did not truly act. Tianyan Old Man, however, said with a solemn expression, even so, it's still a bit troublesome. Chaos Supreme treasures are too powerful, even a slight fluctuation can attract the attention of other epochs. And you are currently being hunted by dark forces. It won't be long before they find the Demon Dao Era. 614, Guardian, Humane Era. Ancient Universe, Young Taiyu. You were startled, not expecting such consequences from using the Honmeng Dao Palace. You originally thought that your power to obscure heavenly secrets was strong enough that the dark forces wouldn't be able to find you. But the Tianyan Old Man had, after all, lived for several epochs, and since he said so, you chose to believe it rather than dismiss it. You asked the Tianyan Old Man if there was any countermeasure for what was to come. The Tianyan Old Man said that, for now, he could only send you to another epoch to avoid the limelight. Because there was a shortage of Fate Masters, he himself concurrently served as a guardian, managing the Human Dao Era. He had originally planned to let you take over his position after some time. Now that this had happened, you would take up the position of Human Dao Era Guardian ahead of schedule. The Human Dao Era was a magnificent epoch. You had previously encountered the Mount Tai Immortal Emperor in simulations, and he held no great malice towards you. Moreover, there was an Unfa world tree there, and you also wanted to witness its grandeur. You had no objection to the Tianyan Old Man's arrangements. However, before leaving, you had to bring your Dao bodies. You had been busy cultivating in seclusion before, and these Dao bodies hadn't had time to be devoured yet. The Tianyan Old Man saw so many Immortal Emperor peak Dao bodies and looked as if he had seen a ghost. You, young man, always managed to give him a fright. As soon as you collected all your Dao bodies, a large expanse of darkness spread from the future within the river of time. Not good, hurry, the Tianyan Old Man exclaimed, his expression changing as he urged you on. You didn't expect the darkness to arrive so quickly. You immediately used the reincarnation system as a stepping stone to travel to the third epoch. Before your figure disappeared, you saw the historical phantom of the Zuyan Immortal Emperor appearing in the river of time to resist. You also saw the Tianyan Old Man take out a Chaos Supreme treasure resembling a millstone and similarly meet it head-on. The next moment, the space-time before your eyes shifted. You appeared in a vast universe. This universe was completely different from your previous universe. It was like a version magnified countless times. Any single planet within it was larger than the stars of later generations. This was precisely the ancient universe unique to the Human Dao Era. It was also the birthplace of the human race. Of course, this ancient universe was just one of the worlds in the Human Dao Era. Within the ancient universe, besides planets, there were also various dimensions hidden in deeper space. Together with the ancient universe, they were called the Myriad Spirits Realm. The Myriad Spirits Realm had tens of thousands of races, but it was merely a place enslaved by innate god demons. Those innate god demons lived in the even vaster ancient god realm. They had noble bloodlines and regarded the tens of thousands of races born acquired as slaves, wantonly killing and enslaving them. The human race was in such an environment, resisting step by step until they completely defeated the innate god demons and created their own epoch. Of course, you didn't know what time point it was now. You swept your divine thought and realized that about 10 billion years had passed since the creation of the world. The human race was currently just an insignificant force in the Myriad Spirits realm. It was still far from being able to contend with the innate god demons. You could still see a towering divine tree connecting the Myriad Spirits realm and the ancient god realm from afar. It was precisely the world tree, also known as the Janmu. Above the Janmu, each leaf was a world. The origin chi concentration within them far exceeded the myriad spirits realm but was inferior to the ancient god realm. Only relatively powerful forces within the myriad spirits realm could reside there. Some forces in the ancient god realm who were not doing well also resided there. Having arrived in the human Tao era, you immediately sensed the Destiny Divine Hall. However, there was no reaction within the River of Destiny. This was clearly abnormal. According to common sense, other epochs should also be able to sense the Destiny Divine Hall. And they should be able to enter it. It was just that the destiny power consumed was much greater than in the Demon Tao era. You then thought of the dark forces that had invaded when you left. You wondered if it was related to them. Without the Destiny Divine Hall, wouldn't you, the Era Guardian, be a mere figurehead now? Of course, these were all minor details. If you didn't have a force, you could build one yourself. What you were most worried about was whether the dark forces would invade the human Tao era. Otherwise, you would have to run away again. There were already more than 100,000 Immortal Emperor peak Tao bodies. You decided to refine them first. If your main body died while your Tao bodies were still around, that would be too depressing. Afterward, your main body entered the deeper space and began to cultivate in seclusion, devouring your Tao bodies. One of your Tao bodies, however, came to the birthplace of the human race, the Great Wilderness Star. This was also the place later known as the human race's ancestral star. The human race was currently one of the three strongest forces in the Great Wilderness. The other two were the giant god race and the ox demon race. The leader of the human race at this time was human Emperor Fuxi. The Mount Tai Immortal Emperor was still just an outer sect disciple who had just joined the Great Wilderness Sword sect. But he had already begun to show his talent, attracting the attention of many elders. No one would have thought that such an outer sect disciple would become the #1 Immortal Emperor in the universe in the future. Under your gaze, the young Taiyu quickly went out for training. He killed a huge spider demon in a tribe. But there was no joy on his face. Because his flying sword, struck by the spider demon's dying counterattack, fell into the nearby Tongtian River. The Tongtian River was the largest river in the human race's territory. Even at its narrowest point, it was 800 li wide. And the Tongtian River before Taiyu's eyes was even more than 10,000 li wide. As for its depth, there was no need to mention it. Moreover, there were many water demons inside, and with his current strength, he simply couldn't retrieve his flying sword. As a disciple of the Great Wilderness Sword sect, without a flying sword, he lost most of his combat power. He slumped by the Tongtian River, his eyes blank, not knowing what to do. The people of the tribe he saved were also helpless. Because they were all just mortals, and the tribe did not have such immortal swords. However, at this moment, a whirlpool appeared in the Tongtian River. Your Tao body, holding 2 flying swords, 1 gold and 1 silver, walked out from within. You said to Taiyu, "I am the river god of the Tongtian River, young man, did you lose this golden flying sword or this silver flying sword?" Taiyu could feel that the quality of these 2 flying swords far surpassed the one he had lost. But he still honestly said, "I lost an iron sword." However, he scratched his head and said awkwardly, "I'm still just a sword apprentice of the Great Wilderness Sword sect, and I'm very poor. Can you give me both of these flying swords?" 615. 2 favors, devouring him and me. Quasi-Immortal Emperor Level 2, danger of extinction. Your smile froze. Historical records all state that Mount Tai Immortal Emperor was kind in appearance but black-hearted. Who would have thought that at just over 10 years old, he was already showing signs of it? You said, "Of course you can," but you had a condition. 2 flying swords would be equivalent to him owing you 2 favors. If you ever encountered danger in the future, he must help you twice within his capabilities. Taiyu nodded repeatedly. You had already said it would be within his capabilities, so he certainly wouldn't lose out. After getting the 2 flying swords, Taiyu couldn't put them down, completely forgetting about the initial iron sword. Seeing this, you submerged into the Tongtian River and disappeared. The good karma was established. Next, it was time to vigorously cultivate your other selves. Currently, there were still over 40,000 of your other selves who had not cultivated to the Immortal Sovereign Peak. You had to hurry, otherwise, if the main body absorbed the earlier ones, the later ones would have to wait. Resources were sufficient now. The only fear was if someone was lazy in their cultivation. If anyone dared to be lazy, give them 100 draws. In a flash, half a year passed, and your main body absorbed 100,000 of your other selves. These were all at the Immortal Sovereign peak, no weaker than Immortal Venerables at the first or second realm. You were equivalent to absorbing 100,000 low-level Immortal Venerables. Your strength once again saw a tremendous increase, infinitely approaching the 8th realm of Quasi-Immortal Emperor. Your Tao soul also underwent some kind of change. Your Tao soul had cultivated into an innate heavenly god after absorbing your other selves in the last simulation. But now, it seemed to be transforming towards a higher level. Innate spirit, innate heavenly god. What came after that, you had no idea. Because in the Chaos realm, the highest level for a Tao soul was an innate heavenly god. After that, it was merely an increase in quantity. You wondered if Tianyan old man knew the inside story. When you left half a year ago, darkness had struck. You didn't know if he was still alive now. He had lived for so long and was definitely at the peak of Quasi-Immortal Emperor. With a Chaos Supreme treasure in his hand, his combat power should be infinitely close to an Immortal Emperor. He shouldn't die so easily. His kindness to you was not small. If he truly died, you, being one who repays kindness, would definitely avenge him in the future. It might even be possible to resurrect him if your strength was sufficient. Of course, for now, you had to ensure your own survival. Time flew by, and another half-year passed. All of your other selves had cultivated to the Immortal Sovereign peak and were then absorbed by you. After absorbing 170,000 Immortal Sovereign peak other selves, your strength finally reached a level comparable to the 8th realm of Quasi-Immortal Emperor. Your Tao soul's transformation deepened further, and an aura similar to the Transcendent mark appeared. You didn't know what this aura was called, so you tentatively named it, Transcendent Aura. The Wishing Compass also had this aura. Therefore, you suspected that it was not entirely something born from the River of Destiny. Besides the significant increase in strength, your basic comprehension ability increased considerably. Whether it reached the Immortal Emperor level, you didn't know, but it definitely surpassed the tenfold Quasi-Immortal Emperor. Your own realm had also unknowingly reached the peak of the first realm of Quasi-Immortal Emperor. You were only a step away from the second realm of Quasi-Immortal Emperor. The cultivation of a Quasi-Immortal Emperor depended on how much chaos origin could be drawn upon. If an immortal technique or divine art could draw 1% of chaos origin, it was the first realm of Quasi-Immortal Emperor. If it could draw 2% of chaos origin, it was the second realm of Quasi-Immortal Emperor. And so on, until drawing 10% of chaos origin, which was the tenfold Quasi-Immortal Emperor. If one broke through to Immortal Emperor, even if just breaking through, they could control all the chaos origin of the current epoch. Therefore, there was a huge strength gap between an Immortal Emperor and a Quasi-Immortal Emperor. However, you were very curious about how one cultivated after becoming an Immortal Emperor. There were no related records in the Destiny Divine Hall. It was very mysterious. Of course, the cultivation of a Quasi-Immortal Emperor was enough for you to work hard for some time. Most Quasi-Immortal Emperors only advanced 1 or 2 realms in an entire epoch. The difficulty was undeniably great. Those like the Lord of the Myriad Demons Valley and the Lord of Dragon Island, who broke through in half an epoch, were considered exceptionally talented among Quasi-Immortal Emperors. Now you were at the peak of the first realm of Quasi-Immortal Emperor. Your main body simply went into seclusion, deciding not to emerge until breaking through to the second realm. You had planned to seclude yourself for 1 or 2 years. Unexpectedly, you successfully broke through to the second realm of Quasi-Immortal Emperor after only half a month of seclusion. This speed even startled you. Upon closer examination, the greatest credit for this was the increase in your basic comprehension ability. Also, your ancestral court was far superior to others, making it easier to sense the chaos origin. At this rate, you estimated that you would only need 2 years to break through to the third realm of Quasi-Immortal Emperor. When you were an Immortal Venerable, it would take 4, 5, or even 6 years to break through one realm. Unexpectedly, it was faster after reaching Quasi-Immortal Emperor. Alas, it's true that gold shines wherever it goes. Even a Quasi-Immortal Emperor couldn't block your excellent radiance. If this continued, even without the Hongmeng Dao Palace, you would soon be invincible below the Immortal Emperor realm. Currently, your combat power had reached the peak of the 8th realm of Quasi-Immortal Emperor. Next, your main body intended to continue its seclusion, but at this moment, a violent spatial temporal fluctuation occurred. You used the Destiny Dao principles to deduce, discovering a change in future time and space, the human race was actually facing the danger of extinction. The human race was the protagonist of this era. Such a change was simply incredible. You wondered if Mount Immortal Emperor would take action. But as the epic guardian, maintaining the flow of destiny was one of your responsibilities. Never mind, send a Tao body to check it out. And establish more good karma with the human race. Your main body continued its seclusion, and one of your Tao bodies departed from the current time and space, heading to the changed time node. This time node was 28,000 years later. At this time, human Emperor Fuxi was old and frail, nearing the end of his lifespan, and was selecting the next human emperor. After such a long time, Taiyu had also grown into a top expert of the human race, one of the 3 guardian gods of the human race. His strength was second only to human Emperor Fuxi. However, due to his differing ideals from human Emperor Fuxi, according to historical trajectory, he did not become the new human emperor. Human Emperor Fuxi was a steady and conservative faction, aiming for stable and gradual development of the human race. Taiyu, however, was a radical faction. He believed the time was ripe to defeat the giant god race and the ox demon race and unify the great wilderness star. Because the giant god race and the ox demon race were currently in a period of weakness, if they were allowed to grow strong again, the human race would be in danger. 616. Ancient God Realm, Fire Phoenix Emperor. Tao Realm Order, Increase Strength. Human Emperor Fuxi also understood this principle. However, the Titan God race and the Ox Demon race had other backers, while the human race was all alone. If he truly did that, he feared it would attract powerful experts from beyond the heavens. This was the root of their conflict. Your Tao body is here to investigate the cause of the space-time changes. From the current perspective, everything seems normal. At any rate, everything on Great Wilderness Star was no different from the historical trajectory. The only difference might be the 2 flying swords you gifted, which made Taiyu's early stages smoother. But this did not constitute a reason to endanger the human race's survival. Since the cause was not on Great Wilderness Star, it must be somewhere else. Your Tao body released a vast divine thought, sweeping across the ancient universe, across deeper layers of space, and even the entire myriad spirits realm. However, no abnormality was found. Next, you cast your gaze towards the ancient god realm. You stepped into it, continuing your search. There were quite a few more powerful individuals in the ancient god realm. There were more than a dozen immortal venerables, and even one quasi-immortal emperor. He was an innate ancient god born before the creation of the world, named Emperor Huahuang. He was a first-level quasi-immortal emperor, an emperor in the ancient god realm. His might suppressed the entire ancient god realm. Your act of searching the ancient god realm with your divine thought undoubtedly angered him. Wearing an emperor's robe, he roared and charged at you. You saw the flames billowing around him, which brought back some pleasant memories. You remembered that you hadn't had barbecue in a long time. You wiped the drool from the corner of your mouth and grabbed Emperor Huahuang. Then, he was effortlessly forced back into his original form by you. Today, it's going to be roasted phoenix. You set up a barbecue grill and started grilling. According to the historical trajectory, Emperor Huahuang would die at the hands of another ancient god not long after. That ancient god was named Six-Faced God, the greatest enemy the human race faced, and the one who almost became the child of extinction, contending with Taiyu for the position of immortal emperor. Roasting Emperor Huahuang tens of thousands of years in advance, that shouldn't change the historical trajectory too much, right? However, Emperor Huahuang's subordinates and many strong individuals in the ancient god realm were scared half to death. Emperor Huahuang was actually captured and eaten. What was the origin of this person? Could it be that the doomsday of the ancient god race was coming? Many ancient gods trembled with fear, their lips turning pale. Half a day later, after eating Emperor Huahuang, you continued searching the ancient god realm. This time, no one dared to jump out and stop you. After all, no one wanted to become your meal. However, even after searching the entire ancient god realm, no abnormality was found. This is truly strange. Where exactly was the cause of the human race's extinction? You used Destiny Tao principles and causality laws to deduce, and found that it was in the Chaos realm at this time node. However, the specific location could not be deduced. Since that was the case, then don't blame you for searching the entire Chaos realm. Besides the myriad spirits realm and the ancient god realm, there were also many small planes. Within the Janmu, there were also many worlds. You began to search inch by inch. However, even after you searched all the worlds, you still found no abnormalities. Could it be, you cast your gaze towards the highest world? That world was known as the Tao world. It was forged from fragments of the Chaos Supreme Treasure, the myriad form seal, from the beginning of this epoch. It was inhabited by several prehistoric powerhouses from the Beast epoch and the Soul Tao era. The strongest among them was Sky-supporting Emperor, a tenfold quasi-immortal emperor. The reason you didn't enter the Tao world was that without using the Hongmeng Tao Palace, you couldn't defeat it either. If you used the Hongmeng Tao Palace, it would easily attract the dark forces. However, those living inside were all quasi-immortal emperors. They must know that this epoch is the human Tao era. Why would they attack the human race? Were they tired of living? If only the Destiny Divine Hall was still here. Tianyan Old Man was previously responsible for guarding the human Tao era and had some friendship with the several quasi-immortal emperors in the Tao world. If he could go in and communicate, it would save a lot of trouble. Now that you are a lone commander, you dare not just barge in. Then you will temporarily guard this time point and adapt to circumstances. Or drag on for a while, waiting for the main body to break through twice. By then, you will have the capital to contend with a tenfold quasi-immortal emperor. Time flew by, a year passed in a flash. On this day, the Tao world finally made a move. The divine beings within the Tao world issued an order to have the ancient god race exterminate the human race on Great Wilderness Star. The top experts of the ancient god race had always obeyed the Tao world's commands. Even the previous Emperor Huahuang also obeyed the Tao world's dispatch. Facing such an order from the Tao world, many experts immediately volunteered to go. This year, you also made some arrangements. Upon seeing this, you immediately instigated riots in the Myriad Spirits realm to delay the ancient god realm's actions. The Myriad Spirits realm was merely a place where the ancient gods raised their slaves. They never expected that one day, these slaves would dare to rebel. This indeed tied up some of the ancient god race's energy. And a portion of the strong individuals who went to exterminate the human race were secretly instigated by you to defect. When they arrived at Great Wilderness Star and saw that the human race was just a weak race, they were overjoyed. They never expected the Tao world's mission to be so easy. It seemed they would receive many rewards for free this time. However, when they made their move, they were backstabbed by the people you had instigated to defect. After a chaotic battle, almost all of them were killed or severely wounded. The few remaining heavily wounded ancient gods were also hunted down by the human race. This was deliberately left by you, to let the human race get a taste of ancient god blood and test their courage. The ancient god realm's first operation thus failed under your interference. Soon, the ancient god realm dispatched a second batch of strong individuals. Due to much of their energy being drawn by the rebellion in the Myriad Spirits realm. This time, there were even fewer strong individuals than the first batch. However, before they even reached Great Wilderness Star, they were hunted down and annihilated by the top experts of various races in the Myriad Spirits realm. The ancient god realm was also very depressed, to exterminate a weak human race, and yet fail twice. Subsequently, an ancient god whose strength was comparable to an immortal Venerable, accompanied by more than a dozen ancient gods comparable to immortal emperors, personally went to Great Wilderness Star. This time, they swore to complete the mission assigned by the Tao world. But, you still did not personally appear. After the Hongmeng Tao Palace advanced, creating innate supreme treasures was effortless. You elevated several ancient artifacts of the human race to the innate supreme treasure level, allowing them to appear at critical moments and counter-kill powerful enemies. After 3 consecutive failures, even if the ancient god realm's high-level officials were slow to react, they realized something was wrong. This mission from the Tao world was indeed very tricky. Since that was the case, then they couldn't be blamed for increasing the intensity. 617. The Six-Faced God, the Reborn Man. Another wishing compass, the heart of the Jianmu tree. Subsequently, the top clans of the ancient god realm sent out all their elites. 10 immortal Venerable level powerhouses, leading a large group of experts, marched towards the Great Wilderness Star. These guys are truly courting death. Such a powerful force, the human race definitely cannot resist it. Just as you were about to personally intervene, an unexpected figure suddenly appeared, intercepting this group of ancient god race powerhouses. This person was none other than the Six-Faced God, who was about to break through to quasi-immortal Emperor. The powerhouses of the ancient god race were greatly shocked, and someone angrily shouted, "So it was you, the traitor, stirring up trouble behind our backs." The Six-Faced God said nothing more, suppressing all of them and bringing them back to the ancient god realm. The human race's impending disaster was thus averted without a trace. You didn't know why the six-faced god, the future strongest enemy of the human race, would help the human race. However, since he made a move, it saved you some effort. You still didn't want to reveal yourself so quickly and confront the Tao world. Another half a year passed. Your main body successfully broke through to quasi-immortal Emperor Triple. Your strength greatly increased, comparable to quasi-immortal Emperor 9th level. As long as your main body broke through one more time, you would no longer fear the sky-supporting Emperor of the Tao world. During the past half year, due to the six-faced god's prestige, the ancient god realm did not continue to target the human race. You became increasingly curious as to why the six-faced god would do this. Is he not afraid of the wrath of the Tao world's powerhouses? A year later, fluctuations came from the ancient god realm. The six-faced god successfully broke through to quasi-immortal Emperor. After breaking through to quasi-immortal Emperor, one gains the qualification to enter the Tao world. But to your surprise, he did not immediately enter the Tao world. Instead, he was searching for you everywhere. So, you proactively appeared and met with him. The six-faced god spoke astonishingly. He said he not only knew that you were the true guardian of the human race but also knew that you were likely the guardian of the Destiny Divine Hall in this epoch. You were somewhat surprised. Using Destiny Tao principles to deduce, you discovered that the divine soul of the six-faced god before you had actually rebirthed from the future. In other words, the six-faced god at this time was a rebirth. Moreover, the timeline of his rebirth was a timeline influenced by you. In that timeline, he did not intervene to stop them. The powerhouses of the ancient god realm suffered heavy casualties at your hands, and they never recovered. The human race also rose faster than before. Finally, the six-faced god died as usual at the hands of the multi-immortal Emperor. Because most of the ancient god race powerhouses had fallen, his death was even more frustrating than in the previous timeline. However, after his death, he was somehow influenced and rebirthed to this point in time. You continued to deduce and found that this influence came from the Tao world. The Tao world was forged from a damaged Chaos Supreme treasure, and even though it was damaged, it prevented you from continuing your deduction. The Tao world, on one hand, ordered the annihilation of the human race, and on the other hand, allowed the six-faced god to rebirth back to the present. Its actions were inevitably contradictory. This left you greatly puzzled. You asked the six-faced god what his purpose was in seeking you out. The six-faced god said that he came this time to make a deal with you. He knew that you came to this point in time to eliminate the spatio-temporal anomaly that led to the human race's demise. However, this anomaly originated from the Tao world, and you currently found it difficult to completely resolve it. Although he couldn't help you completely resolve it either, he could enter the Tao world and help you investigate the cause of this matter. This would allow you to respond more calmly. This was indeed a good idea. You asked him what he wanted to trade. He said he knew the whereabouts of a wishing compass, but his strength made it difficult to obtain, and he hoped you could retrieve it for him. Upon hearing this, you immediately became energetic. You had previously used a wishing compass to break through to quasi-immortal Emperor. You didn't expect to be able to obtain another one so soon. You calmly said, "Such an important item, you wouldn't just tell me about it easily, would you?" The six-faced god said, "Of course, you must also make a great Tao oath before I trust you." So, in front of him, you made a great Tao oath. You expressed your firm commitment to completing the transaction and never seizing the wishing compass. The six-faced god was much more at ease now. He said that the wishing compass was located in the heart of the Janmu tree. To obtain it, one must split open the Janmu. The Janmu was the world tree, the root that connected heaven and earth. Even the great catastrophe of creation could hardly destroy it. Only an immortal emperor could accomplish it. In the future, it was indeed cut down by the multi-immortal emperor. Could it be that the multi-immortal emperor cut it down because of the wishing compass? For an immortal emperor, the effect of the wishing compass was already very minimal. You felt it couldn't be that simple. The six-faced god was unaware of your specific strength, but from his future memories, you were indeed a formidable figure. Quasi-immortal emperors were like ants before you. However, he overestimated your current self. With your current strength, you simply couldn't split open the Janmu. Of course, you definitely wouldn't say it aloud. You still needed the six-faced god to do things for you. You said, "No problem, leave it to me. Once he investigates the cause of the anomaly for you, you will retrieve the wishing compass for him." Words alone were not enough, so you made another great Tao oath. Giving him double assurance. You had already made 2 great Tao oaths. The six-faced god left at ease. But what he didn't know was that for a Fate Master who had completely mastered Destiny Tao principles, a great Tao oath could not form a fatal constraint at all. By expending some destiny power, it could be modified. Compared to the Immortal Emperor, this six-faced god was truly an honest person. No wonder he couldn't contend with the Immortal Emperor. You then had to face another great test. How to break open the Jianmu and obtain the wishing compass. Your Tao body entered the Jianmu and began to study it carefully. Through infinite enlightenment, you discovered a few flaws at the root of the Jianmu, leading directly to its heart. The flaws were not naturally formed but were damages the Jianmu sustained during creation that had not yet been fully repaired. Of course, these flaws were only flaws to you. If it were someone below Quasi-Immortal Emperor 7th level, even if they were told about the flaws, they wouldn't be able to break through. After entering, you quickly arrived at the position of the tree heart. The tree heart was yellowish-brown, like a human heart, and it was actually beating. Inside, all that flowed was the origin sap of the Jianmu. You could sense that there was also a powerful consciousness sleeping within. This consciousness was several times stronger than the golden figure in the Hongmengdao Palace. You knew that this should be the self-will of the Jianmu. It seemed to have been forced into slumber due to the damage from creation. 618. Use it again, Quasi-Immortal Emperor Level 4. Taoist Master Jinyang, planning the Taoist world. If you can control it, doesn't that mean you control the entire Jianmu? Of course, it is several times stronger than the golden figure, the artifact spirit of a chaos supreme treasure. With your current strength, you cannot achieve it at all. But this does not prevent you from thinking that way. After all, this is a divine object even more powerful than a chaos supreme treasure. Once it falls into your hands, it will definitely greatly increase your strength and life-saving ability. However, such an existence is difficult for even an immortal emperor to destroy, and it is unknown how the future Immortal Emperor will cut it down. Next to the heart is a bronze compass. It is precisely the wishing compass. You have used it once, and you can tell at a glance that this is a wishing compass that has not yet been used. It seems that the six-faced god still has some truth to his words. What you are curious about is, did Immortal Emperor not obtain this wishing compass when he cut down Jianmu? Once a wishing compass is used, even if it is used in the future, the current compass will still become ineffective. This compass is still effective, indicating that it has not been used even in the future. If Immortal Emperor had obtained it, it would be impossible for him not to use it. Or did some unforeseen event occur midway, causing the compass to disappear? You decide to perform a soul search on the six-faced god at that time to see how he obtained information about the compass. Afterward, you took the wishing compass out of Jianmu's internal space and sent it to your main body. The main body originally had 2 more years before being able to break through to the 4th stage of Quasi-Immortal Emperor. Now that you have obtained this wishing compass, it is an unexpected surprise. After getting your hands on it, you did not hesitate and immediately wished to maximize the enhancement of your cultivation realm. Your realm directly break through to the 4th stage of Quasi-Immortal Emperor. And it is the middle stage of the 4th stage. Your strength has greatly increased, and your combat power is comparable to a 10-fold Quasi-Immortal Emperor. Now, you finally have the confidence to deal with Sky-supporting Emperor. Of course, this, dealing with, refers to him leaving the Tao world. The Tao world was forged from a damaged Chaos Supreme treasure, the Myriad Form Seal. If you directly broke in, it would definitely still be too dangerous. Although you have a complete Chaos Supreme treasure in your hand, you cannot use it casually. Otherwise, the dark forces would stick to you like a dog's skin plaster again. However, this damaged Chaos Supreme treasure did make your eyes light up. If the complete one cannot be used, there should be no problem with the damaged one, right? The Myriad Form Seal is not like the Jade Plate of Fortune, which was shattered into pieces. It at least retained most of its main body. It still possesses a considerable portion of the power of a Chaos Supreme treasure. You cannot get Jianmu for now, but you can certainly plan for this Myriad Form Seal. In less than half a month, the six-faced god found you again. In this half-month, he entered the Tao world and gathered important information. The order to destroy the human race was issued by Sky-supporting Emperor, the strongest in the Tao world. But strangely, after Sky-supporting Emperor issued this order, he remained in seclusion and did not pay attention to subsequent developments. According to some divine servants in the Tao world, sky-supporting emperor's personality changed drastically a few years ago, and he became increasingly irritable. The six-faced god speculates that some changes may have occurred within sky-supporting emperor. The above is all the information he was able to gather. You stroked your chin and said that this information was not enough to trade for the wishing compass. But then you took out the wishing compass and threw it to him. You said you were a kind person and would not make things difficult for him. The six-faced god took the wishing compass but found it unusable. This is different from what he remembered. Could you have used it privately? He voiced his doubts. You generously admitted it. You said, that's right, your great Tao vow only said to hand over the wishing compass to him, not whether it had been used or not. Although your destiny power can modify great Tao vows, doing so can still save you some effort. The six-faced god was furious, feeling that he had been tricked by you. However, due to the difference in strength, he did not get angry but instead wanted to leave. As soon as he turned around, he saw a large hand descend and seize him. He still had many things that interested you, and you had not said you would let him go. Subsequently, you performed a soul search on him. From his memory, you learned that the information about the wishing compass came from Lord Golden Sun, a 7th-stage quasi-immortal emperor in the Tao world, after he himself break through to the 3rd stage of quasi-immortal emperor in the future. As for how Lord Golden Sun knew, he did not know. Unfortunately, he never obtained the wishing compass until his death. After his rebirth, due to his weak strength, he set his sights on you. As a result, it ended up benefiting you instead. It must be said that he, like the Emperor Star of the Immortal Tao era, is a good person. Aside from not being able to sacrifice, they both brought you many benefits. As for why he was rebirthed, it was also due to a jade talisman given to him by Lord Golden Sun. After his death, that jade talisman sent his divine soul to this point in time. It seems that Lord Golden Sun also has quite a few secrets. The six-faced god was killed by Taiyu after he became an immortal emperor. Lord Golden Sun is only a 7th-stage quasi-immortal emperor, yet he could do such a thing right under an immortal emperor's nose. Even a tenfold quasi-immortal emperor couldn't do that, could they? You find it incredible just thinking about it. Or was Mount Tai Immortal Emperor doing it on purpose? Is everything happening now within his expectations? Why would he do this? To send you a wishing compass? You think this possibility is very high. If it's the former, then it's too terrifying. Afterward, you erased the six-faced god's rebirth memories and memories related to you, then released him back to the ancient god realm. After all, he is one of the key figures of the human Tao era. He can't just die so casually. The power of time correction cannot fundamentally harm you. But it has too great an impact on the course of history, which would cause many subsequent historical events to collapse. In that case, you, as an epic guardian, would be too derelict. Of course, you also don't know if you still count as an epic guardian now. If the Destiny Divine Hall has already been destroyed by the dark forces, then this epic guardian is just a title. You still hope the Destiny Divine Hall lasts longer. Next, you began to plan for the Tao world. The root of the spatiotemporal anomaly is in the Tao world, and you also want the myriad form seal, this damaged chaos supreme treasure. You cannot achieve this without taking drastic measures. According to the six-faced god's memories, there are currently 5 quasi-immortal emperors in the Tao world. Besides sky-supporting emperor and Lord Golden Sun, there is also someone named Di Yuan Shengren who needs attention. He is a 9th-stage quasi-immortal emperor expert who only appeared in the Tao world in recent years, and his origin is very mysterious. 619. Fishing in the Tao realm, capturing Jinyang. Powerful Diwan, goodbye Taiyu. Soon, you began to further investigate the Tao world, searching for flaws. Even the Jianmu had flaws, so there was no reason for the Tao world not to. The Tao world had been managed by several prehistoric powerhouses within it, making it impregnable. But after several days of observation, you still discovered several loopholes. One of these loopholes was extremely close to where Lord Golden Sun resided. You decided to start from this point. To be safe, you had no intention of directly entering. Instead, you decided to lure Lord Golden Sun out first. You used the Chaos Origin as a rod, Destiny Power as a line, and the Wishing Compass as bait, beginning to lure Lord Golden Sun. Lord Golden Sun was just about to begin his cultivation for the day. But in the ethereal, he suddenly felt a sense of impending good fortune. This was a good omen. Could there be some fortuitous encounter recently? Lord Golden Sun, proficient in causality laws, began to deduce. He quickly discovered that he was about to obtain a treasure. Moreover, the origin of this treasure was mysterious, and even he could not deduce its specific information. This, instead, piqued his interest even more. This meant that this treasure might be extraordinary. He worked hard for half a month and finally deduced the specific location. Subsequently, he rushed towards the location of the wishing compass. The wishing compass was the bait you cast. It had a powerful sealing force on it. Lord Golden Sun had just obtained the wishing compass and hadn't had time to examine it closely. The sealing force on it suddenly erupted. It enveloped his entire being, making him unable to move. This was a trap. Lord Golden Sun was greatly alarmed. He was, after all, a sevenfold quasi-immortal emperor. Anyone capable of setting such a trap must at least be on the level of sky-supporting emperor. However, in past epochs, besides the 3 immortal emperors, there was only sky-supporting emperor, a tenfold quasi-immortal emperor powerhouse. Could it be a powerhouse from the future targeting him? He vaguely guessed who it was. After sealing Lord Golden Sun, you used the thread of destiny to pull him out. Upon seeing you, he said, "It's really you. Currently, among the powerhouses from the future, there is only you. Besides you, it's difficult to find anyone else. However, you were always cautious before, why are you suddenly an enemy of the Tao world now?" You asked him if the rebirth of the six-faced god was his doing. Lord Golden Sun said, yes and no. He indeed participated, but with his strength, he could not have done it alone. The true mastermind behind this matter was the mysterious Yuan Shangren. He only played an assisting role. You frowned. To verify whether what Lord Golden Sun said was true, you even performed a soul search on him and found that what he said was indeed true. You originally wanted to find out from Lord Golden Sun how he managed to make the six-faced god undergo rebirth. You didn't expect the mastermind to be someone else. It's just that Yuan Shangren's strength is as high as ninefold quasi-immortal emperor, and his origin is mysterious. You weren't sure if you could capture him using the same method. This is troublesome, however, it's still worth a try. You spent over half a month strengthening the sealing force on the wishing compass. Then you threw it into the Tao world again. It just depends on whether Yuan Shangren takes the bait. If he really takes the bait, you can not only learn his secret but also indirectly weaken the strength of the Tao world. You had just thrown the wishing compass in. Yuan Shangren, who was meditating, opened his eyes, a strange expression on his face, and said, "Interesting." He extended his hand and effortlessly grasped the wishing compass, which you had hidden, into his hand. The sealing force on it suddenly erupted but was effortlessly dispelled by him. You were startled by this. Could this guy be an immortal emperor? Even a tenfold quasi-immortal emperor would absolutely not be able to handle it so easily. Which epoch's immortal emperor is he? Soul Tao, or Beast Tao? According to the Destiny Divine Hall's information, the older the immortal emperor, the stronger they are. The Soul Tao is the second epoch, and the Beast Tao is the first epoch. The Soul Tao Immortal Emperor and the Beast Tao Immortal Emperor are definitely among the strongest of the 8 known immortal emperors in the Chaos Realm. As for the Immortal Ancestor, he is an anomaly, and the Destiny Divine Hall has no relevant records. But according to what Mount Tai Immortal Emperor said in the last simulation, his strength is already infinitely close to beyond Immortal Emperor. He might be the strongest among the known immortal emperors in the Chaos Realm. It's just that, why would such an immortal emperor interfere with the history of the human Tao era? His making the six-faced god undergo rebirth would definitely have a major impact on history. Also, although the command to destroy the human race was given by Sky-supporting Emperor, it's unknown if it's also related to him. What exactly is his purpose? Facing such an existence, you had no choice but to temporarily retreat. Should you go find Mount Tai Immortal Emperor for help? You felt it was very necessary. If he is the Soul Tao Immortal Emperor or the Beast Tao Immortal Emperor, Mount Tai Immortal Emperor might not know about his presence here, because the strength of these two might be above Taiyu. Moreover, you also wanted to ask Taiyu about the origin of the immortal ancestor and why he cut down the Janmu. So your Tao body went directly to the future timeline and found Taiyu after his breakthrough to Immortal Emperor. At this time, Taiyu wore an emperor's crown, and all races came to pay homage, truly enjoying boundless glory. And great wilderness star, the human race's ancestral star, was also transformed by him, radiating auspicious chi. An immortal emperor comprehends all things past and future. Mount High Immortal Emperor was not surprised by your arrival. He dismissed his attendants and received you. Many ministers were surprised. To be received alone by the Immortal Emperor was an unparalleled honor. They wondered what kind of important figure had arrived. You told Mount High Immortal Emperor about Diyuan Shangren. Unexpectedly, he shook his head and said that Diyuan Shangren was not an immortal emperor. Not an immortal emperor. You were greatly astonished. Not an immortal emperor, yet possessing strength far exceeding a tenfold quasi-immortal emperor. You curiously asked, what exactly is Diyuan Shangren's origin? Mount High Immortal Emperor said, you previously gave him the golden sword and silver sword, he owes you 2 favors. If I answer this question, it will consume 1 favor. Indeed, even an immortal emperor could not avoid the ways of the world. You said that this person's origin was unknown, and you were trying to maintain the order of the human Tao era, so it shouldn't consume a favor, right? Mount High Immortal Emperor said, don't worry, you definitely won't lose out by knowing his origin. Could this person also be related to you? You were a bit surprised. 620. The spirit of the 10,000 phases, the cause of the felling. The stingy Taiyu, the 5th level of the quasi-immortal emperor. However, since Mount High Immortal Emperor said so, it seems this favor is unavoidable. You said that's fine, just 1 use. Mount High Immortal Emperor said, this person has an extraordinary origin, he is the artifact spirit of the myriad form seal, coming from the future 7th curse Tao epoch. However, he has not yet achieved breakthrough to Immortal Emperor, currently, he is still at the peak of quasi-immortal emperor. It's just that because he is within his own main body, his strength far surpasses that of an ordinary peak quasi-immortal emperor, giving you the illusion of an immortal emperor. He returned this time to reclaim his main body. You widened your eyes, not expecting Diyuan Shangren to actually be the artifact spirit of the myriad form seal. Xuanpin Immortal Emperor of the 8th epoch, profound Tao epoch, became an immortal emperor as the artifact spirit of a chaos supreme treasure. Diyuan Shangren is only 1 step away from him. It's just that with him present, the difficulty of you trying to seize the myriad form seal might greatly increase. However, if you could take him out in 1 go, the myriad form seal would be able to unleash even greater power. It can be said there are pros and cons. You asked if the command from Sky Supporting Emperor to eliminate the human race was also related to him. Mount High Immortal Emperor said that this would also require consuming a favor. You only had 1 favor left, so you quickly waved your hand. Compared to the extinction of the human race, you were more curious why Taiyu cut down the Janmu divine tree. Because with Mount High Immortal Emperor present, the human race would definitely not be annihilated. And the Janmu divine tree, you had hope of acquiring. So naturally, you were more interested. What if the Mount High Immortal Emperor absolutely had to cut down the Janmu divine tree? Your act of taking the Janmu would greatly offend him. At that time, you would only be able to reconsider. Mount High Immortal Emperor didn't expect you to be interested in this. Since you were using a favor, he would still clear your doubts. He said that his felling of the Janmu was related to the dark forces. The crown of the Janmu connected to many worlds beyond the chaos realm. Among them was the origin of the dark forces, the Highland ancestral land. At that time, the dark forces were already stirring, intending to attack the chaos realm. Thus, in order to eliminate this hidden danger, he had no choice but to cut down the Janmu. However, during the Demon Tao epoch, the Demon Path Immortal Emperor reopened the passage to the Highland ancestral land. The dark forces seized the opportunity and immediately invaded the chaos realm. The Destiny Divine Hall perished in this invasion. Afterward, under the leadership of several immortal emperors, the powerhouses of the chaos realm drove the dark forces back to the Highland ancestral land and established a defense line to prevent their re-invasion. You didn't expect it was for this reason. Mount High Immortal Emperor's image instantly grew taller in your eyes. If it weren't for him, perhaps the subsequent 4th Demon Tao epoch would also have been destroyed. It seems there are still many potential risks to acquiring the Janmu divine tree. However, you were not in a hurry. To acquire the Janmu, you would at least have to wait until you became an immortal emperor. At that time, you would then close the passage to the Highland ancestral land. There should be no major issues. However, if you could think of this, Mount High Immortal Emperor should also be able to think of it. Why didn't he close the passage, but instead chose to cut down the Jehu divine tree? Could it be that the passage cannot be closed? Or is there another hidden reason? Since your favors were used up, you didn't ask further. Lest you anger Immortal Emperor. Your Tao body left this time-space. Soon, it returned to the time point when Taiyu went down the mountain for training and lost his flying sword. You disguised yourself as a river god and emerged from the Tongtian River again. This time, you wanted to accumulate more favors. 108 golden flying swords appeared before you, and you asked with a smile, "Young man, are these flying swords yours?" Taiyu was stunned. He nodded his head like a pecking chick, saying they were indeed his. So, you gave him the 108 flying swords. With this, the favors Immortal Emperor owed you would not be repaid in a short time. Just as you were about to leave, a majestic voice suddenly came from the young Taiyu's mouth, "You little brat, are you trying to farm experience points here?" After speaking, he threw all the flying swords back. It seems this was discovered by Immortal Emperor. You collected the flying swords and quickly ran away. You just wanted to get more favors. What evil intentions could you possibly have? After learning Di Yuan Shengren's true identity from Immortal Emperor, you did not act rashly again. As the artifact spirit of the Myriad Form Seal, his strength in the Tao world forged by the Myriad Form Seal far surpassed the peak of Immortal Emperor. Unless you lured him out of the Tao world, you would have no chance of fighting. However, with your current strength, even if he left the Tao world, it would still be difficult for you to capture him. You still needed to continue accumulating strength. Of course, your potential opponents were not just him. The other quasi-immortal emperors in the Tao world, including Sky-supporting Emperor. None of them would possibly give up the Tao world. After all, this was their foundation for survival. Especially Sky-supporting Emperor, he was the current owner of the Myriad Form Seal and the actual controller of the Tao world. Of course, there was also a conflict of interest between him and Di Yuan Shengren. Di Yuan Shengren wanted to reclaim his main body and had to get past him first. Perhaps it wouldn't be long before you could watch a good show. However, you could not let Di Yuan Shengren achieve final victory. Otherwise, if he ran off with the Myriad Form Seal, where would you find him? With the item in Sky-supporting Emperor's hands, it could at least remain stably in this time-space. Time flew by, and 3 years passed in a blink of an eye. Your main body achieved breakthrough again. From the middle stage of the 4th Quasi-Immortal Emperor, it successfully broke through to the 5th Quasi-Immortal Emperor. Your combat power increased significantly again. Currently, you should have the strength of a 10-fold Quasi-Immortal Emperor peak. However, it was still not enough against the Myriad Form Seal, a damaged Chaos Supreme treasure. Of course, you also had more than half of the Jade Creation Disc fragments. But because the fragments were too scattered, the concentrated power was far less than that of the damaged Myriad Form Seal. You wondered if there was a way to repair it. You thought of the Jehu Divine Tree again. The Jehu Divine Tree far surpassed ordinary Chaos Supreme treasures. Even its branches had various miraculous effects, such as strengthening the ancestral court. Then, could its core repair the shattered Jade Plate of Fortune? There was a lot of information about the Jehu in the Destiny Divine Hall. But there was no record of the wondrous uses of its core. It was estimated that only Immortal Emperor, who cut it down, would know. But Immortal Emperor was too stingy and unwilling to give you new favors. Moreover, this core would be his property in the future. If you stole its power, wouldn't that be indirectly stealing his things? You definitely couldn't ask him. But you could try in private. You secretly stole some tree core sap. Surely Immortal Emperor wouldn't discover it, right?